Chapter 844. Ugh, Fang Hun was stunned. How could he speak to Lin Rei in such a manner? He stared at Lin Rei blankly, not knowing what was wrong. Not only Fang Hun, but even Lin Rei's group was the same. They were a little puzzled by Lin Rei's decision. Although Fang Xiaoyun's matter had nothing to do with Fang Hun, in fact, Fang Hun was a little miserable. However, no one could figure out what Lin Rei saw in him, a monarch god realm cultivator. Of course, no one dared to object to Lin Rei's thoughts, nor did they dare to refute. They just stood there quietly and waited. How is it? This condition isn't open to just anyone. Think about it. Moreover. As he spoke, he looked at the situation around him, lowered his head, and continued, "You are a person who focuses on cultivation. I can see that. How much do you think you have achieved here? How long will it take for you to break through to the Emperor realm? Moreover, the lifespan of an Emperor realm cultivator is limited. Do you think you can live as long as the heavens and earth?" As he spoke, Lin Rei paused for a moment. "Think about it carefully. I will give you time to think about it. 3 days. I will only give you 3 days. I will stay in the city for 3 days. I believe it won't be difficult to find me in the future. After 3 days, I will leave. I will not wait for you after that. Think about your original intention and see what you want. Is it this wasted position or the pursuit of the peak of the Tao?" As he spoke, he looked at his disciple behind him and smiled. "Little you, let's forget about this matter. I believe Fang Hun will know how to deal with it. Let's go." Hearing this, Lin Wanyu could only nod. "Yes, master. Let's go." After he finished speaking, he ignored Fang Hun, who was standing there in a daze, and walked out. Whoosh! Suddenly, a sound pierced through the air. It was Gu Feng who left when Lin Rei arrived at the entrance of the hall. When he saw Lin Rei, Gu Feng stopped, cupped his hands and nodded. "Young master, this subordinate has completed the matter you asked me to do. And as you expected, in the city lord's mansion, we found a man, it seems." As he spoke, Gu Feng couldn't help but look at Fang Hun, who was still in a daze. He then slowly said, it seems to be the city lord's mansion's butler." This subordinate repeatedly confirmed that Fang Xiaoyun is indeed the butler and Mrs. Han's son. N. Hearing Gu Feng's report, Lin Li nodded. "All right, got it. You can leave now." "Yes." As he spoke, Gu Feng retreated behind Lin Rei and didn't speak. The hall fell into silence again. Turning his head, he looked at Fang Hun. Lin Li's heart was filled with sighs. It seemed that this was a fatal blow to Fang Hun. But of course, Lin Li trusted that Fang Hun would definitely be able to recover. After all, Lin Li could sense his Tao heart. When he saw Fang Hun, Lin Li knew that Fang Hun had the heart to become a powerhouse. It was because of this heart that Lin Li had the idea of subduing him for his own use. Looking at him, Lin Rei comforted him. "I'll leave this matter to you. As for the specifics, it's your family's matter. But remember, I'll only give you 3 days." As he spoke, he seemed to think of something. With a thought, he took out an empty bottle from his interspatial ring and threw it to Fang Hun. "This pill should be able to help you break through the middle stage and enter the late stage. It's your compensation." At this moment, in the hall, Fang Hun came back to his senses and subconsciously reached out to catch the pill. He looked down and revealed a strange expression. "Let's go." He didn't say anything else. Lifting his feet, he walked out. This time, Lin Li really did leave. He didn't look back. Lin Rei didn't want to guess about Fang Hun, but Lin Rei still hoped that he could submit to him. This way, perhaps one day in the future, he would become one of his generals. AI. Is the heavens playing with me? Why are they doing this to me? Where is my beautiful wife? Where is my son? Why did it become like this? My wife had an affair with the butler behind my back, and my son isn't even his. More importantly, he had raised Fang Xiaoyun to this age. Even though he wasn't his biological son, He had raised him. It would be a lie to say that he didn't have any feelings for him. At this moment, Fang Hun was in a difficult situation. He didn't know what to do with his wife and son. Of course, this was only for his wife and son. As for the butler, Fang Hun wouldn't be merciful. Thinking about this, a trace of killing intent rushed out of his eyes, and he said, "Men." Haka, suddenly, the sound of hurried footsteps could be heard. A young man wearing armor walked in from outside the door. When he saw Fang Hun, he suddenly knelt on the ground and said, "Subordinate Lu Yun greets the city lord. I wonder what orders the city lord has for this subordinate to come here." Lu Yun. Hearing the young man's report, Fang Hun paused for a moment before coming back to his senses. He didn't think too much and said, "Go and bring the butler, madam, and Xiao Yun here." Hearing this, Lu Yun was startled, but he quickly said, "Yes, this subordinate will do it right away." Saying this, Lu Yun got up and rushed outside. Looking at Lu Yun's disappearing figure, Fang Hun felt powerless. He was no longer the tall, mighty, and intimidating city lord from before. Thump, thump, thump. Fang Hun took a few steps back and sat down on a chair powerlessly. At this moment, Fang Hun was paralyzed, and his face was filled with sorrow. Not long after, Lu Yun returned, and he brought the butler, his wife, and son. Looking at the people outside, Fang Hun forced himself to calm down and said, Come in." "Yes." Hearing this, Lu Yun brought the three people into the hall and threw them on the ground. He tactfully retreated to the side and didn't say anything. Seeing Lu Yun like this, Fang Hun was stunned for a moment, but then he felt relieved. He shifted his gaze to his wife, son, and housekeeper. Looking at them, a murderous aura swept past Fang Hun's eyes and disappeared in an instant. "Ai. Tell me, did this lord not treat you well? Why did you betray this lord, and this child, is not this lord's? Why didn't you say so earlier? If you had said so earlier, perhaps this lord wouldn't be like this now, and perhaps I would have let your family leave." "You." Looking at his wife, Han Shi, Fang Hun powerlessly spoke. It could be seen that Fang Hun cared a lot about Han Shi. You think we left? You didn't treat me badly? Fang Hun, who are you trying to fool?" Hearing this, Han Shi's heart seemed to be touched. Her face became slightly angry as she roared at Fang Hun. "I've been married to you for hundreds of years, and although you treated me very well and let me enjoy a life that all women would envy, but you have to know that I am a woman, and I cannot live without you." "But what about you? Other than cultivation, all I do is cultivate. Have you ever thought about me? Have you ever thought about how I lived? In the family, I was afraid that those gossipy people would find out, so I rarely went back." As she spoke, tears gushed out of Han Shi's eyes. It was as if this matter was an eternal wound to her. Hearing his wife's words, Fang Hun was stunned. His expression was filled with difficulty. He did not think that this would bring her harm. Moreover, cultivation. The reason why he worked so hard to cultivate, wasn't it all for the sake of letting them live a good life? If he did not have powerful abilities, how could he have sat on the position of the city lord? If he did not have powerful abilities, how could she wear gold and silver and not have to worry about food and clothing? If he did not have powerful abilities, how could he protect his family? At this moment, hearing his wife's words, Fang Hun was a bit unable to accept it. "What you said is only an excuse for you to betray this lord, you." As he spoke, Fang Hun sighed and then turned his spear to point at the trembling housekeeper. Looking at him, a shocking murderous aura rushed out of his body and locked onto him. "You're very good. I did not think that after all these years, this lord would personally raise an ingrate." Fang Hun's heart was filled with regret towards the housekeeper. "If I had known earlier, I would not have saved you from the wolves. Now, you." Saying this, Fang Hun closed his eyes and a tear flowed out from his eye. His face was filled with grief. Silence. No one spoke. Hearing this, Lu Yun's heart was filled with shock. He did not think that such a shocking thing would happen today. Sigh. The scene was broken by Fang Hun's sigh. He recovered from his grief and wiped away the tears on his face. Lu Yun, take the housekeeper away. Take good care of him. Do not let him die early. As for the rest, do as you deem fit. Yes. Yes, this subordinate. This subordinate obeys. Lu Yun did not want to accept this order. After all, this had already touched on the city lord's family matters. However, he could not do anything about it. In the end, he accepted it. After responding, Lu Yun went forward and grabbed the housekeeper's hand. After bowing to Fang Hun, he left. Seeing Lu Yun leave, Fang Hun slowly got up and went to Han Shi's side. Looking at her, Fang Hun did not say anything. He sighed and then raised his hand to slap Han Shi's head. Bang! A muffled sound rang out. At this moment, Han Shi was completely stunned. Her expression was filled with disbelief and regret. With a sigh, he left Han Shi's side and went to Fang Xiaoyun's side. Looking at the unconscious Fang Hun, he raised his hand to deal with him, but, however, the instant he raised his hand, the memories of the past appeared in his mind. Regarding this, he hesitated. Forget it. With a sigh, he turned and left. In the end, he did not have the determination to deal with Fang Xiaoyun. As the saying goes, if you can't play, you won't be annoyed. Since Han Shi was already dead, this matter was over. Ignoring it, he turned and left the hall. Liaoyuan East City, in a restaurant for guests from afar, Lin Rei and the others came out of the city lord's residence and stopped in front of the door. Is this the restaurant that Bai Qi and Ming booked? It looks pretty good. It is indeed not bad. Ing agreed with a happy smile. Let's go. He nodded and agreed. Then, he walked into the guests from afar. Do you want to eat or stay here? Right at this moment, as soon as Linley entered the restaurant, a waiter walked over from afar, and a classic sentence entered the ears of Linley and the others. Looking at the waiter, Lin Rei smiled and said, someone has already booked it. Oh. The waiter nodded, since that's the case, please take a seat. There are so many of you here, it's a bit, okay. Understanding the waiter's intentions, Linley smiled awkwardly and walked towards an empty area. Even though there were many people, they were still able to sit down. Seeing this, no one was too reserved. After Lin Rei sat down, they also sat down. Waiter, look at the number of people. Let's order your signature dishes and open the restaurant. That's all. If there's nothing else, you can leave. Lin Rei said. Okay. Hearing that the customer ordered so many dishes, the waiter was naturally happy and left immediately. Phew. Letting out a long breath, a smile appeared on his face. Xiaoyu, this time, the main purpose of your trip here is to train. Thus, Master is going to give you a mission. Do you dare to accept it? At this moment, looking at his eldest disciple, Linley opened his mouth and asked. What is it, Master? At this moment, Lin Wanyu, who had been bored to death, suddenly became interested. She had come here to increase her cultivation level, and Linley's actions were exactly what she wanted. It's simple. This time, the Rain Sect is involved. Therefore, your mission is to challenge the Rain Sect. How about it? Do you dare to accept this mission? Challenge the Rain Sect? At this moment, Lin Wanyu was stunned. She wasn't as excited as before. After this incident, she understood that the Rain Sect was a super sect here. There were many supreme gods and a few supreme gods in the sect. With her current cultivation, she was afraid that she wouldn't be able to make it out alive in the end. Understanding Lin Wanyu's thoughts, Lin Rei smiled and said, Don't worry. If you want to go, you won't be alone. I will send Bai Qi and Dian Wei with you. At that time, you just have to do what you need to do. Don't worry about anything else. No one will be able to disturb you. Hearing this, Lin Wanyu, who was originally hesitating, immediately became determined and agreed. Okay, I promise, master. Then when do I act? Seeing her change, Lin Rei was stunned. Then, he understood. After this meal, you can act whenever you want. Bai Qi and the others will follow you. Okay, I understand. She nodded and didn't say anything else. This matter was taken care of. However, Lin Rei didn't stop there. Instead, he said to his second disciple, Shueyuan, you go too. You go to the sword sect. I will also send Tianyun and Mingming to follow you. Chapter 845. Oh, okay. After being stunned for a moment, he recovered and hurried down. Estranged Yuan didn't resist at all. He was even a little excited. After all, to be able to challenge an entire sect, although not all of them, could increase his knowledge and experience. Estranged Yuan was very willing to do so. If that's the case, master, I'll take my leave after this meal. At this moment, Estranged Yuan volunteered. With that, he quickly turned to Tianyun and Ming. Looking at them, Estranged Yuan smiled and said, please take care of me in the future. No, it's just part of our job. Seeing Estranged Yuan being so polite, Tianyun and Ming smiled. Good. Seeing them like this, Lin Rei was relieved. Okay, since that's the case, we'll do as you said. After this meal, you can leave. With that, he looked at Cullen and Ling Yuro. Just like before, he looked at them. The same goes for the two of you. With that, Lin Rei looked at Ying and Bing with a guilty expression. He had asked them to come out and have fun, but now, tell us, what do you want us to do? As Lin Rei's wives, when they saw the guilty expression in Lin Rei's eyes, they knew what Lin Rei was thinking. No one knows me better than Ying. Seeing that Ying had guessed his thoughts, Lin Rei didn't think too much about it. He said, it's simple. This time, you two follow Little Four to the equipment refining sect and check on them. After so many years of being in a high position, it's time for them to be on their guard. As he spoke, a devilish smile appeared at the corners of Linley's lips. Seeing this, Shadow's lips twitched. He knew what was going on. Then she nodded and said, I know. Don't worry. With the two of us here, we'll guarantee Little Four's safety. That's great. With that, a tender and worried expression appeared on his face. Little Four's safety is guaranteed, but you two have to be safe too. Otherwise, I'll be sad. There are so many people. Hearing their husbands say this, Ice and Shadow blushed. They stretched out their hands and placed them on Linley's waist. On the soft flesh of Linley's waist, they used their womanly fingers. A muffled groan came from Lin Rei's mouth. Of course, this was just an act by Lin Rei. After all, his body was already at the half-step saint realm. Even if the two of them were powerful, they still wouldn't be able to hurt him. Of course, the reason why he did this was to cooperate with his wife. Alright, I'll leave Little Four to you. But remember, there's always someone better out there. Don't be careless. Go there safely and return safely. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Looking at their husband's serious face, the two of them nodded seriously and didn't say anything, and, nodding, his gaze landed on Karen. Looking at his fifth disciple, Lin Rei was worried. After all, among his disciples, he was the only one who was still at the peak of the early-stage God-Emperor realm. Looking at Karen, Lin Rei slowly said, Fifth brother, you should go to the Danzong sect. I'm familiar with that place. There are many experts there. You're only at the peak of the early-stage God-Emperor realm, so remember, you have to be careful. Of course, this is just your first mission. After you finish challenging the Danzong sect, you can challenge the Array sect if your cultivation improves. Remember, you have to be strong before you can go. Do you understand? At this moment, Lin Rei's face was solemn and worried. The Array sect is a sect that specializes in cultivating arrays. Of course, the cultivators there are very strong. So if you really go to the Array sect, don't let your emotions affect your decisions. You have to focus on comprehending arrays. If you can break through to the late-stage Emperor realm in your comprehension of arrays, that would be the best. Yes, your disciple understands. Don't worry, Master. Your disciple will definitely remember your words. Be careful, be careful, be careful. Right now, Cullen was extremely excited. If everything really went according to Linley's plan, that would be perfect. After all, ever since Lin Xianyuan broke through, they were all brothers. They were all working hard to surpass him. Kue Gang, you and Red Lotus should go together. In addition to Jiayang, you should take this opportunity to temper yourself. Saying that, his gaze landed on Jiayang by the side. His eyes were filled with an inquiring light. Emin, I understand. I will. Jiayang nodded and didn't reject. After all, he also felt that this was a rare opportunity and didn't want to miss it. Amen. Nodding, a smile appeared on their faces. With this, the 4 disciples all went out. The only one left was Xiao San. Because he had just broken through, Lin Rei didn't plan to send him out on a mission. Instead, he wanted to keep him by his side and let him slowly temper himself. At this moment, everyone's gaze landed on Lin Xianyuan. At this moment, everyone was very curious about what mission Lin Rei would give him. At this moment, seeing everyone's gaze on his 3rd disciple, Lin Rei smiled. His heart was like a mirror, he knew what everyone was thinking. Under everyone's expectant gaze, Lin Rei spoke, Xiao San, you have just broken through to the early stage of the hierarch realm. Your realm isn't very stable yet. Also, I felt that your principles weren't very stable. So, follow me for this period of time. As for what to do, I will tell you when the time comes. What? Teacher, 3rd junior brother. Why doesn't 3rd junior brother go out to train? Yes, teacher. Although 3rd junior brother has broken through to the hierarch realm, but, Moss. Teacher, I also want to be by your side. I also want to be by your side, teacher. At this moment, when they heard Lin Rei's arrangement for Lin Xianyuan, the disciples reacted violently. Seeing his senior sister and junior brother's reaction, Lin Xianyuan was stunned. He didn't expect this to happen, let alone encounter such a situation. Seeing his senior sister and junior brother's protest, Lin Xianyuan frowned. He then looked at Lin Rei and begged, Teacher, junior brother world is right. Although I am at the early stage of the hierarch realm, I still, enough. Not waiting for little 3 to finish, Linley said in a low voice. His previously gentle face was now gone. All that was left was a gloomy, uncertain face, a face that caused everyone to feel dread. Lin Wanyu and the others immediately knew that they had lost their composure. They lowered their heads and didn't say anything. Looking at his disciples, Lin Rei said angrily, Look at you. You are all emperor gods. Why are you still so impetuous? I have my reasons for letting Xiao San stay here. Moreover, he is at the early stage of the hierarch realm and has the Xianyuan sword. Even a late-stage hierarch realm expert might not be able to defeat Xiao San. Tell me, do you still need to let him go out and carry out the mission with such strength? At this moment, the scene fell into silence. No one dared to speak. This matter is settled. Xiao San will follow me. As for Pai Xiu and 8th baby, go out and take a look. See if there are any good treasures in the 9th state. I believe that with 8th baby's help and Pai Xiu's cultivation, you can do whatever you want in the 9th state. After 500 years, we will gather here. At that time, I might be able to bring you into the holy world. Hiss, as soon as he said that, everyone present was stunned. The holy world was a place that all cultivators dreamed of. At this moment, they were working so hard to enter the holy world. So, you only need 500 years to enter the holy world. Are you sure you can jump 2 small realms in 500 years? At this moment, 8th baby regained his senses and questioned. One should know that a small realm of the hierarch realm was not the same as a divine monarch or divine emperor realm. An ordinary person would need more than a few hundred years to break through a small realm. Some people would even go into seclusion for 10,000 years or even longer just to break through a small realm of the hierarch realm. If those hierarch-level cultivators were to hear Linley's words, most likely, they would all gang up and attack him. Alright, let's do it. At this moment, Pai Xiu suddenly opened his mouth with a confident smile. If it was someone else, Pai Xiu might not believe it. However, since it was Lin Rei who said it, the result would be different. Do you know what you are saying? 500 years, how is that possible? At this moment, eighth baby's face was filled with manliness. He could not understand why Pai Xiu would trust Lin Rei so much. Don't worry, this kid is not an ordinary person. Others might not be able to do it, but he can. He might not even need 500 years to reach that height. Seeing the Pai Xiu praise him like this, Linley couldn't help but smile bitterly. To be honest, 500 years, even his heart was beating like a drum. But, he had to say 500 years, because at this moment, he only had 500 years left. He didn't have any more. Alright, let's eat. At this moment, the atmosphere became a little cold. At this moment, all the dishes were served on the table. In response, Lin Rei quickly said. Alright, just like that, everyone gave up on the previous 500 years and entered a state where they could eat. At this moment, Lin Rei was calculating in his heart. To be honest, his cultivation had already reached the peak of the middle hierarch realm. He was only a step away from the late hierarch realm. However, it was this step that required an opportunity to break through. And this opportunity might come in the next moment, 10 years, 100 years, or even 1,000 years. At this moment, Lin Rei was very worried. Just how was he going to break through to the next realm in the group? Just like he said, he didn't have much time left. Even though it was only 500 years, in the eyes of cultivators, this time was just the blink of an eye. One closed-door cultivation, one experiential learning time would be gone in a flash. At this moment, no one spoke. They all ate in unison, ignoring each other. City Lord's residence. In the deepest part of the City Lord's residence, in Fang Hun's room, Fang Hun had already returned to his room. As for the matter of his wife and son, he had already settled it. Madame Han died, but Fang Xiaoyun, Fang Hun couldn't do it. In the end, Fang Hun's heart softened and he chased Fang Xiaoyun out. But before that, Fang Hun cured Fang Hun's short leg. As for the severed arm, Fang Hun ignored it. Madame Han was also thrown into a mass grave by the City Lord's residence people. For this kind of person, even though they were husband and wife, but, in the end, she still betrayed him. So, Fang Hun couldn't tolerate it. As for Fang Xiaoyun, Fang Hun chased him out. Although he didn't kill him, he left him to fend for himself. An ordinary person without cultivation, could only rely on himself to survive in this world. Regarding this, Fang Hun had a clear conscience. After all, he had raised him for so long for nothing. Not killing him was already enough to offset the time he called him father. Sigh. I don't care anymore. Everything will be resolved. Let him deal with the rest. Whether or not he can survive will depend on his own luck. After saying that, Fang Hun let out a long sigh. Then, his body and mind became empty, and he threw all those troublesome matters to the back of his mind. Of course, at this time, Fang Hun finally had time to check the pill Lin Rei gave him before he left. With a thought, he took out the pills that Linley had given him from his interspatial ring. The pill bottle was transparent, and there were some floral patterns engraved on it. It was a very comfortable design, and after grabbing it, a refreshing energy flowed into his body from his palm. TSK, the fruit platter is not ordinary. A pill bottle is so extravagant. As for the pill bottle, Fang Hun didn't know what it was made of, but he was sure that the pill bottle had the effect of removing inner demons. As such, the value of the pill bottle was extremely high. Such a valuable item was used to store a pill. At this moment, Fang Hun felt that this pill was even more valuable. Pop. He opened the pill bottle. In an instant, a pill fragrance that made his heart tremble and excited spread through the room. Hiss, this pill. Smelling the pill fragrance and feeling the abnormality in his body, his originally closed eyes suddenly opened. His gaze was filled with a burning light. This thing can increase cultivation. What pill is this? At this time, Fang Hun clearly felt that his cultivation was increasing bit by bit. Although the speed was very slow, it was enough to make him shocked and excited. Let's do it. Looking at the pill and thinking about the temptation of breaking through, Fang Hun couldn't care less. He thought that there was something wrong with the pill, but, in the face of the temptation of breaking through, gulp. He didn't care about anything else and ate it first. The pill melted in his mouth and went down his throat. Finally, it landed in his chest. Then, the medicinal effect spread in all directions. It was just a silver pill, but it had such a fragrance. The fragrance lingered in his mouth and teeth, making him forget to leave. Boom! Suddenly, the moment Fang Hun recalled the pill fragrance, a terrifying medicinal effect appeared in the pill that was originally filled with gentle medicinal effect. It rushed to his limbs and bones. The medicinal effect was so strong that Fang Hun was shocked. The medicinal effect was very strong and filled with tyrannical qi. If he didn't refine it in time, he was afraid that, in a light case, his cultivation would be crippled. In a heavy case, he would explode and die. Chapter 846. Come on. Let's see what level I can reach this time. Sensing the medicinal power in his body, Fang Hun's eyes flashed. He closed his eyes, activated his cultivation technique, and began to refine the pill. At this moment, Fang Hun was both excited and nervous. After all, if he could successfully refine the pill, then the level of his breakthrough would be limitless. Of course, it was also at this moment that Fang Hun's originally hesitant heart became resolute. His heart was no longer yours. He had agreed to Lin Rei's conditions, to submit to Lin Rei and become his subordinate. It wasn't just for the pill. It was also to help the Han clan. Also, it was because of his desire to reach the peak of the Tao. He wanted to become, like Lin Rei said, a true expert. He wanted to break through the shackles of the godly exalted level and enter the holy world, a place he didn't even dare to imagine. He wanted to become an expert. He wanted to become someone above others. He wanted to become the person he wanted to be. Huff, huff, huff. Fang Hun entered a deep state of cultivation. In the room, the four sides were sealed, but there was a gentle breeze blowing. Fang Hun's robe was like a balloon, puffing up. Above his head, 3,000 strands of hair fluttered in all directions even though there was no wind. However, at this moment, Linley could not stop what Fang Hun was doing. Of course, Linley had already finished eating. In the time it took to finish a meal, everyone finished eating very quickly. At this moment, in a restaurant far away, Lin Rei sat in place, looking around at everyone. His face was full of smiles, as if something good had happened. All right, all of you should have a mission now. Be careful. Rumble. Hearing Lin Rei's words, everyone rose to their feet. The rumbling sound attracted the attention of everyone else in the restaurant. We will follow masters, young masters, orders. Be careful. Not bad. Seeing his disciples like this, Lin Rei's face was filled with gratification. These disciples had always been his pride. With disciples like this, what more could he ask for? It's settled then. You may leave. Go wherever you want to go. Remember, your mission is to challenge the sect. If you succeed in your challenge, if you have time, go to the caves, secret realms, and danger zones in the 9th province. You might be able to find something useful there. Yes, we will do as you say. At this moment, everyone was willing to recover. After all, they could increase their cultivation. How could they not be willing? All right, go ahead. As he spoke, he raised his hand and waved to the crowd. This time, the time limit is 500 years. Remember, no matter what, once the 500 years are up, all of you must return here. Do you understand? Yes, we understand. We will remember masters, young masters, orders. We will definitely return here in 500 years. After saying that, everyone bowed and saluted. Then, without saying anything else, they turned around and hurriedly left the restaurant with the people that Lin Rei had assigned to them. Swoosh, swoosh, when they arrived at the door, they jumped up into the sky. After finding the right direction, they scattered in all directions. They were as fast as lightning and as fast as thunder. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared into the horizon. It was empty. The people who had been surrounding the restaurant had all left. Of course, there were still a few people who had not moved. Lin Xianyuan, Gu Feng, and the doppelganger Sakura had not left. Sigh. Looking at the birds, beasts, and people leaving, Lin Rei could not help but sigh. Then, he retracted his gaze and looked at the three people. Sakura, you heard it. After 500 years, you must break through to the sage realm. Therefore, during this period of time, you should hurry up and increase your cultivation. I know. I have the same intention. At this moment, Sakura stood up and said to Lin Rei. Go ahead. As for your sword and the flute, after 500 years, I will refine it for you and make it a real sage weapon. Don't worry. I know. Sakura, who was cold by nature, nodded his head coldly. Then, he did not say anything. He grabbed the wine gourd on the table and rushed out of the restaurant. He soared into the sky and disappeared. Phew, he let out a long breath and a smile appeared on his face. All right, let's all have a rest. Previously, we promised Fang Hun that we would wait for 3 days. Therefore, we must not say a single word. Let's wait for him for 3 days. If he does not come after 3 days, we will set off for the Talisman Sect. Yes. Lin Xianyuan and Gu Feng nodded their heads and replied. Although they did not know what Lin Rei was going to do next, they knew that they could not disobey Lin Rei's orders. That was the right thing to do. Let's go. Let's go back to our rooms and rest. After saying that, he did not say anything else. He stood up and went to his room using the room number that Ming Ming had given him. He pushed open the door and entered his room. TSK, not bad. I did not expect that there would be such an elegant room in this restaurant. When he entered the room, he saw that the room was built with the rare sea-sinking wood. If the other rooms were the same, it was enough to tell that the owner of the restaurant was not an ordinary person. Although the sea-sinking wood was not very expensive, it would take a lot of effort to obtain it. Interesting. He glanced at the surroundings and withdrew his gaze. He walked to the bed and sat down cross-legged. Then, he closed his eyes and entered into a state of selflessness. He circulated the chaotic heavenly scripture and entered into a state of cultivation. Time passed by slowly. Just like that, 3 days passed in the blink of an eye as he cultivated in a peaceful and quiet manner. Boom! Inside the city lord's mansion, the people who were originally carrying out their duties suddenly felt a terrifying pressure that surrounded the entire city lord's mansion. Under this sudden pressure, the people who were originally carrying out their duties directly knelt on the ground without any hindrance, without the slightest hesitation. Everyone's face was filled with shock and disbelief because the aura came from the depths of the city lord's mansion, where their city lord was. Could it be? Could it be that the city lord has made a breakthrough? At this moment, an old O sensed the aura and his body trembled uncontrollably. His face was filled with excitement. The city lord's breakthrough did not only represent him, but also the rise of the city's level. Currently, Vast Origin City was only a second-grade city. The city lord of a second-grade city was usually under the control of a divine emperor. There were not many cities under the control of a divine emperor. There were only 60 of them in the entire 9 prefectures. These 60 cities under the control of divine emperors were first-grade cities. They were very powerful and had over 10 times more resources than second-grade cities. This is great. The City Lord's breakthrough means that Vast Origin City is one step closer to becoming a first-grade city. In that case. Thinking of this, the old O could not help but start praying. Of course, the content of his prayer was obvious. It was about Fang Hun's breakthrough. At that moment, in the depths of the City Lord's mansion, Fang Hun sat cross-legged on a praying mat in Fang Hun's place of isolation. He had already exited from his training, and his face was filled with excitement. His body trembled in excitement. Ha ha ha! Suddenly, Fang Hun raised his head and roared towards the sky. It was as if he had completely relaxed. His face was filled with an excited smile. I've broken through, I've broken through. Who would have thought that just a small medicinal pill would allow me to forcibly increase my cultivation by 2 minor levels from the middle stage Divine Monarch realm? In just 3 days, I've successfully broken through to the early stage God Emperor realm. This, right now, although Fang Hun was excited, he knew that all of this had been bestowed upon him by Linli. If it hadn't been for Linli, breaking through to the Emperor God level would have taken him thousands of years, if not tens of thousands of years. I must repay the kindness of others. Since you've allowed me to break through, then, this Emperor shall serve you and serve you. After saying that, Fang Hun revealed a look of anticipation. He was looking forward to what level he would reach in the future. After letting out a long breath, a smile appeared on Fang Hun's face. Looking at the gradually brightening sky outside, a trace of determination appeared on his face. It's time to find Lin Rei. After saying that, Fang Hun retracted the pressure he released. He stood up, tidied up his clothes, pushed open the door and walked out. Since he was a guest from afar, he had to stay in Lin Rei's room. At this moment, Lin Rei had already woken up and stopped cultivating. It's been 3 days. In 3 days, will you fulfill my wish and come find me? Looking out the window, Lin Rei revealed a look of anticipation. Of course, he was also looking forward to it. Even if Fang Hun didn't come, Lin Rei wouldn't be too disappointed. After all, everyone had their own aspirations. Nothing could be forced. It's time to leave. Fang Hun stood up and moved his body that had been resting for 3 days. Suddenly, the sound of bones cracking could be heard. Instantly, the entire room was filled with a bone-chilling sound. With a twig sound, the door was pushed open by Lin Rei. Suddenly, a bright and beautiful ray of sunlight shone on Lin Rei's face. His originally melancholic heart felt much better after bathing in the sunlight. That's true. The sun is so beautiful. If I work from sunrise to sunset in a lazy manner, how comfortable would that be? Thinking about that, he couldn't help but shake his head with a bitter smile. Can't I just relax? It's only been a few days, and I'm already thinking about it. After saying that, he smiled bitterly and walked towards the restaurant in the front hall. Xiao Sanzi, Gu Feng, come out of seclusion. Come out and eat something. We'll prepare to leave. Yes, I understand. At this moment, Lin Xianyuan and Gu Feng, who were in their own rooms, heard the message. They immediately withdrew their cultivation and nodded. Arriving at the front hall, the restaurant was still the same as usual. There was an endless stream of people coming and going. Fang Hun scanned the place and locked onto an empty seat by the window. His speed wasn't very fast. When he arrived at the seat and sat down, his gaze landed on the pedestrians on the street outside the window. Looking at the hurried pedestrians passing by, Lin Rei couldn't help but become absent-minded. Lin Rei, who was in a daze, didn't notice at all that there was a delicately dressed man with a jade crown on his head. His skin was as white as snow, and his appearance belonged to the feminine type. He was especially feminine. Moreover, his body emitted waves of fragrance, just like a girl's. He held a folding fan in his hand and wore a white robe. Overall, there were only 3 words: gigolo. At this moment, the gigolo came to Lin Rei's seat. Seeing that Lin Rei was facing outside, he was absent-minded. He stretched out his hand and knocked on the table. Brother, I wonder if you can sit here? Lin Rei, who was originally in a daze, suddenly woke up after hearing this voice. He immediately turned his head. The moment he saw the gigolo, Lin Rei's face revealed a trace of doubt. Do you have something to say? Hearing Lin Rei's words, the gigolo was speechless. He then said, "Brother, I don't know if you can sit here. The other seats are all full. Can you share a table?" "Of course, if brother agrees, this one can pay the bill for you." "Share a table?" Seeing the gigolo saying so, Lin Rei revealed a trace of interest. Lin Rei was clear about the cultivation of this young man. A late-stage god-emperor cultivator was actually so amiable. Furthermore, he even requested to share a table. If it was someone else, he would have been chased out by now. But now, this young man didn't do so. Even though he didn't want to sit with others, Lin Rei felt a trace of interest towards him. His expression relaxed and he revealed a smile. He nodded and replied, "Sure, you can sit. But I still have 2 friends, so in a while, it's fine. It's fine as long as there is a seat." Hearing Lin Rei's words, the young man paused for a moment before regaining his senses. "This one is Su Ziqing. I am a roaming official. I hope you don't mind my rudeness." Suddenly, Su Ziqing cupped his fists. Su Ziqing? Hearing this name, Lin Rei felt slightly puzzled. He had never heard of this name before. But this person was a late-stage god-emperor. Even though he didn't think much of him, there was no need for him to offend him. After all, as the old saying went, one more friend means one more path. Thinking of this, he cupped his fists and replied, "This one is Lin Rei. I am a roaming wanderer." "Oh. Lin Rei, TSK, this name is not bad." Hearing Lin Rei's name, the person called Su Ziqing praised with a smile. Lin Rei wasn't interested in him. He was only interested in him. Hence, he didn't say much and just smiled. "Teacher, young master." However, during the silence, Lin Xianyuan and Gu Feng, who were awakened, suddenly came over. They cupped their fists and greeted Lin Rei respectfully. "Oh. You are here. Hurry up and sit." The 2 of them sat down. But when they saw Su Ziqing, they frowned and revealed a puzzled look. This is Su Ziqing. He is a roaming official. Don't worry, there is no space here." Hence, he came over to share a table. At this moment, Lin Rei understood the doubts of the 2 and hurriedly introduced. After saying that, he pointed to Lin Xianyuan and introduced him to Su Ziqing. "This is my disciple, Lin Xianyuan. This is Gu Feng. He is, my subordinate. Greetings to the 2 of you. Judging from your aura, you should be cultivators. And your cultivation isn't low. TSK, you are really young and promising." At this moment, Su Ziqing spoke. However, when he heard Lin Rei's introduction, Su Ziqing looked at Lin Rei curiously. After the 2 of them arrived, although he couldn't really sense their cultivation, he was sure of one thing. Lin Xianyuan was definitely stronger than him. There was no other reason. Before he arrived, there was a trace of strong cultivation circulating in his body. Although it was only for an instant, Su Ziqing could clearly feel it. Chapter 847. Lin Xianyuan and Lin Xianyuan didn't respond to Su Ziqing's words. After all, they were very clear about Su Ziqing's cultivation. A late-stage god-emperor. A young man like him could reach such a level. It was obvious that he had a powerful background. Of course, the most important thing was that Lin Rei had spoken. They didn't dare to say anything. For a moment, the 4 of them didn't say anything. The place was quiet. There was a slight awkwardness in the silence. "Little 3, go order something to eat. Once we're done, we can leave this place." At this moment, Lin Li opened his mouth and broke the silence. "Yes, master." Lin Xianyuan suddenly stood up and walked towards the front desk. Looking at him, Lin Li revealed a trace of a smile. Not long after, Lin Xianyuan returned with a jug of wine in his hands. He placed it in front of Linley and said with a smile, "Master, this is the private stash of the restaurant's owner. I heard that it's a rare wine. Have a taste. If it tastes good, I'll go get more for you." "Oh." Lin Ray's eyes lit up. He focused on the jar of wine. Wine was very important to him. "Yes, I heard it's made from clear spirit fruit and 100-berry fruit." Seeing the smile on his master's face, Lin Xianyuan hurriedly poured a bowl for Linley and stood beside him, intending to serve him. "Let me do it." Suddenly, Gu Feng stood up and took the jar of wine from Lin Ray's hand. He didn't say anything. He stood behind Lin Ray and waited for a refill. Lin Xianyuan was stunned by Gu Feng's behavior. However, he recovered quickly and sat down. He didn't say anything and waited quietly for the dishes to be served. Gulp, gulp. Suddenly, there was a sound of drinking. Lin Xianyuan and Su Ziqing looked in the direction of the sound. At this moment, Linley raised his head and downed the entire bowl in one gulp. He then placed the bowl back onto the table. As for Linley, he stood there in a daze. His eyes were tightly shut and his breathing was normal. However, he had a look of enjoyment on his face. Seeing Lin Ray like that, Lin Xianyuan knew that his master liked this wine very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't be like that. Moreover, he had tasted it before he came. Otherwise, he wouldn't have served it. Yes, it's fruity. It's refreshing, sweet, and gentle. After drinking it, the taste of fruit lingers in the mouth. It's rare that this wine can be brewed to such an extent. TSK, the owner of this restaurant is not simple. To be able to make such a good wine with just clear spirit fruit and 100-berry fruit. After pausing for a while, Linley began to evaluate himself. His face was filled with bliss, as though he deeply loved this wine. "Master, I'll go and buy some more. After all, I don't come here often." Lin Xianyuan hurriedly said when he heard his master's evaluation. "Tisk, go and ask the owner. I want to stay here for a long time. Discuss with him. In the future, we'll buy the ingredients and we'll pay for all the brewing costs. We'll also pay for the brewing costs." "Yes." Lin Xianyuan smiled when he heard his master's words. Then, he stood up and left. At that moment, the originally empty bowl was filled with Gu Feng. Gu Feng was very pleased with this. Gulp, gulp, at this moment, Linley couldn't stop. Although this wine wasn't the best, the aroma of this wine was something he liked very much. "Have you heard? I heard that the Talisman Sect will be recruiting disciples soon. Hurry up and get the two of you to sign up." "What? The Talisman Sect is recruiting disciples? When did this happen? Why haven't I heard about it?" "Tisk, how can I let you know about everything? Let me tell you. The news about the Talisman Sect recruiting disciples is from my brother's eldest cousin's son's friend. He's in the Talisman Sect, so this news is very accurate. Moreover, I heard that it's a big event this time. It's the first time in history." "Damn, is that true? If that's the case, I must bring my son to the Talisman Sect. If he can really enter the Talisman Sect, then his future will be limitless." Just as Linley was tasting the fine wine, the topic of conversation reached Linley's ears. Instantly, Linley, who had been drinking, stopped, and a look of interest appeared on his face. "The Talisman Sect is recruiting new disciples?" Lin Ray was very interested in the Talisman Sect's recruitment. After all, his mission target was the Talisman Sect. Initially, he was worried about how to complete his mission. However, Lin Ray felt that the time had come. "Oh. Brother Lin, could it be that you want to go to the Talisman Sect?" At this moment, Su Ziqing asked curiously. He had never been able to see through Linley's cultivation level, but at least he knew that Lin Xianyuan were definitely not simple. However, Su Ziqing was extremely puzzled when he heard that the Talisman Sect was recruiting new disciples. He did not understand Lin Ray's intentions. That's right. Lin Ray naturally could not tell the truth to Su Ziqing's question. The Talisman Sect. Originally, I wanted to leave and continue to travel and chat about life. However, I did not expect that the Talisman Sect would be recruiting new disciples. Therefore, I want to give it a try. Hearing Linley's words, Gu Feng, who was standing behind him, was startled. A stunned expression appeared on his face. Others might not know about Lin Rei, but he knew very well that Lin Rei's cultivation was unfathomable. Not to mention the 9th province, there was probably no one in the entire divine realm who could defeat Lin Rei. However, Lin Rei said that he wanted to take part in the Talisman Sect's recruitment test. How could he not be stunned? Of course, this shock only lasted for an instant. Apart from Lin Rei, no one else noticed it. Oh. Brother Lin wants to take part in the Talisman Sect's recruitment test? Gu Feng looked at Lin Rei in disbelief. That's right. Lin Rei nodded without denying it. After all disciples from poor families hope to have the protection of a powerful sect with low cultivation. I am no exception. In order to convince Su Ziqing, Lin Rei suppressed his cultivation to the true God realm. Given Lin Rei's cultivation, Chu Fei must be a sage who was much stronger than him. Otherwise, no one would be able to discover his true cultivation. Of course, there was another reason. Lin Rei wanted Chu Fei to know. Otherwise, true God. As expected, when Su Ziqing sensed the ripples emanating from Linley's body, he immediately understood Linley's cultivation level. However, what surprised Su Ziqing was that a deity actually had such powerful subordinates by his side. Although he didn't know what Lin Xuanyuan's cultivation level was, he knew very well that he was no match for him. Su Ziqing did not believe that Lin Rei did not have any extraordinary abilities since he was able to make a cultivator who was much stronger than him willingly become his disciple. It was also because of this that Su Ziqing became more and more curious about Lin Rei. So much so that he made a huge decision in his heart. As he thought about this, a kind smile appeared on his face. He looked at Lin Rei and said, "Since Brother Lin has decided, why don't you travel with me? It just so happens that I also have plans to go to the Talisman Sect. I wonder if..." "What? You?" Lin Rei raised his eyebrows as he looked at Su Ziqing. He looked at him cautiously. Lin Rei did not have a good impression of Su Ziqing. However, if this person wanted to go to the Talisman Sect with him, the outcome would be different. Why? Brother Lin is not willing? When he saw Lin Rei's cautious expression and saw Lin Rei's expression, Su Ziqing's body trembled. An unknown panic instantly filled his entire body. What's going on? Why do I have such a feeling? Su Ziqing could not help but mumble to himself as he avoided Lin Rei's gaze. Nothing. I am just afraid of delaying young Master Su's matters. Of course, if young Master Su does not mind, then, alright, it's decided then. Hurry up and eat. We will leave soon, heir. Before Lin Rei could finish speaking, Su Ziqing spoke first and decided for Lin Rei. Lin Rei was stunned by this and smiled bitterly. Just like this, they seemed to have more to talk about now that they had a common goal. Su Ziqing seemed to have turned into a chatterbox as he continued to nag Lin Rei. In order to not expose himself, Lin Rei could only listen with a smile on his face. At this moment, Lin Rei really wished that he could unleash his cultivation and give this person a big slap. He wanted to say to him, "Stop talking and stay here. If you continue talking, I will kill you." Of course, this was only a thought in his heart. His face was still full of smiles and he appeared as easygoing as a spring breeze. Seeing this, Gu Feng, who was standing behind him, felt that it was funny. Lin Rei's current appearance was the most sullen and funny he had ever seen since he started following him. However, while Su Ziqing was chatting one-sidedly, Lin Rei returned and all the dishes he had ordered were served. In response, Lin Rei could only eat in silence and block Su Ziqing's words. Of course, he would still turn his head and respond from time to time. However, Lin Rei's current helplessness was the same as the helplessness of Liaoyuan City's city lord Fang Hun. He had sent people to search for Lin Rei for some time, but there was no news of him. He had thought of using his cultivation. However, there might be a few powerful cultivators in Liaoyuan City. If he did not want to live, he would definitely not use his divine sense to search. Ever since Fang Hun had made a breakthrough, he had sent out all the elites of the city lord mansion to search the entire Liaoyuan city for Lin Rei so that he could follow him. However, time passed for a long time. Slowly, the hope in Fang Hun's heart faded bit by bit. The flame of hope was slowly extinguished. AI. It seems. Emperor still does not have such an opportunity. Reporting to City Lord. This subordinate has discovered the person you are looking for. He is currently eating as a guest. What? Hearing this report, Fang Hun, who had lost all hope, suddenly stood up. He circulated his cultivation and his body shot out like an arrow, disappearing in the blink of an eye. As for the guard who had made the report, Fang Hun didn't have the mind to pay attention to him. Right now, all he wanted to do was find Lin Li and have him tell him that he was willing to take Lin Li as his master and obey his orders. Nevertheless, on the way to where Lin Rei was praying in his heart. He prayed that Lin Rei would not leave and that he would not miss this opportunity. At this moment, Fang Hun used his full strength. An early-stage God-Emperor cultivator using his full strength could be felt by all the powerful cultivators in the city. Amen. At this moment, several people who had been in secluded meditation in the East District, West District, South District, North District, and Central District suddenly opened their eyes. A bright light flashed in their eyes, but it was gone in the blink of an eye. They looked toward Fang Hun, and their hearts trembled. This aura seems to belong to the city lord of vast origin city, Fang Hun. Thinking of this, they had a strange expression, that's not right. Previously when I saw him, he was still a middle-stage god monarch. How long has it been since then, Fang Hun? Who would have thought that he would break through to the god-emperor realm in such a short period of time? Did he encounter a huge opportunity? Or Fang Hun, not bad. Who would have thought that he would break through to such a level in such a short period of time? At this moment, this thought appeared in the minds of several cultivators in the city. Nevertheless, they were merely startled. After all, everyone had their own opportunities and could not be forced. However, at this moment, Lin Rei, who was eating among the guests, stopped eating the moment he felt this aura. He placed down the chopsticks in his hand and looked towards the distance. There was a faint smile on his face that gave others a mysterious feeling. Is he finally here? I thought that if he didn't come, he wouldn't have subdued him. How could Lin Rei not be familiar with this aura? After all, they had just separated not long ago. Go and tell Fang Hun to wait outside. Also, tell him to suppress his cultivation. I feel that this Su Ziqing is not simple. During this period of time, try not to expose your cultivation as much as possible. Yes, understood, young master. Hearing the voice transmission, Gu Feng's head nodded imperceptibly. Then, he quietly retreated and went to meet up with Fang Hun according to Lin Rei's instructions. Time flew by and the meal was finished in silence. Burp. A thunderous burp came from Lin Rei's mouth. With this burp, Lin Rei slumped into his chair, completely unaffected by the presence of an expert. His previous elegance and nobility had all disappeared at this moment. The only thing that could be seen was a person who had eaten his fill and was lying leisurely and comfortably on the chair. Young Master Lin, do you want to leave now or, Hearing Su Ziqing's question, Lin Rei raised his head lazily, opened his eyes, looked at Su Ziqing, nodded and said, let's go. It's time to leave. Having said that, he got up and walked out of the restaurant. Seeing Lin Rei's action, Su Ziqing immediately got up and followed closely behind. At this moment, outside the door, Gu Feng, Lin Rei, and Fang Hun, the city lord of vast origin city, were standing together. When they saw Lin Rei come out, they bowed and greeted, Master, young master. Good. If you hadn't come, I'm afraid that I would have really left. Having said that, he smiled at Fang Hun and said, remember what Gu Feng told you. You are now just a divine guard. As for your identity, you can decide for yourself. Yes, young master. This subordinate understands. Chapter 848. Amen. Su Ziqing nodded and did not say anything else. However, right at this moment, Su Ziqing walked out of the restaurant. When he saw the extra person beside Gu Feng and Lin Xianyuan, he was momentarily stunned. Isn't that the city lord of vast origin city, Feng Han? Although he did not know Feng Han very well, he had seen him before. After all, if he had not seen the city lord of this city before, then it would be too. However, what puzzled him was that Feng Han was standing there like Gu Feng and bowing his head like a servant. Even so, Su Ziqing could still see that Feng Han's expression was filled with respect. What's going on? Why would a divine sovereign be so respectful to Lin Rui, who is only a true god? Moreover, Gu Feng and Lin Xianyuan are also acting the same way. As he thought about this, Su Ziqing looked at Lin Rui with a complicated gaze. There were many mysteries surrounding Lin Rui that puzzled him and made him want to find out more about him. Brother Su, is there something on my face? Or... Seeing Su Ziqing's gaze, the corners of Lin Rui's mouth unconsciously curled as he spoke. No. Su Ziqing cried out in alarm. Then, he hurriedly shook his head and said, I'm truly sorry. I was lost in my thoughts just now. As he spoke, both sides of his originally white cheeks turned red. Seeing Su Ziqing's current appearance, Lin Rui was momentarily stunned as he stood there in a daze. F***ck, it can't be, right? Your daddy here actually has feelings for this man? At this moment, Lin Rui could not believe his eyes. There were countless beauties in the world. Lin Rui had seen many of them. Fairies and goddesses were innumerable. However, at this moment, it was for a man. As he thought about this, he quivered and shook his head violently. He began to circulate the chaotic heavenly scripture in an attempt to get rid of this feeling. Phew, he exhaled deeply and opened his eyes. Then, he shifted his gaze away from Su Ziqing's face. Brother Su, this humble one is not familiar with this place. Is there a way to reach the Talisman Grand Master? Young Master, at this moment, when Feng Han heard this, he instinctively stood up and was about to say something, but, just as he opened his mouth, a hand reached out from behind him and stopped him. Don't say anything about this. Young Master can't reveal his identity right now, so, everything can only be done with young Master's permission, understand? Feng Han turned his head and looked at Gu Feng, who was holding him. For a moment, Feng Han was shocked. He hurriedly nodded his head, and his expression was filled with gratitude. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you. However, Gu Feng and Feng Han's actions had already entered Su Ziqing's eyes. Seeing how strange their actions were, Su Ziqing began to ponder. Then, he said, Brother Lin, this servant of yours seems to know. Why don't we let him speak first? If what he says is wrong, then we'll talk about mine. Looking at Su Ziqing, Lin Rui sighed inwardly. Looks like he's starting to suspect my identity. That was what he thought. As the saying goes, one's words do not match one's heart. What one thinks is not what one thinks. That's good too. As he spoke, he looked at Feng Han and raised his eyebrows. Then, he asked, since you already know, then continue. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Hearing this, Feng Han could not help but turn around and look at Gu Feng. However, at this moment, Gu Feng nodded his head slightly, indicating to Feng Han. When Feng Han saw Gu Feng's reaction, he understood and immediately spoke of his thoughts. Yes, young master. As he spoke, Feng Han bowed and continuously spoke of his thoughts. Young master, there are teleportation portals between the cities. If we use the teleportation portals, it will only take half a month to reach the Talisman Grandmaster from here. However, if we rely on manpower to fly, then the time will greatly increase. Half a year, or even a year is possible. That's a good idea. It happens to coincide with my thoughts. Su Ziqing, who had been listening to Fang Hun's thoughts the entire time, was pleasantly surprised when he heard this idea. Oh, is that so? Seeing Su Ziqing's reaction, Lin Rei played along and said, in that case, since both of us have the same opinion, then let's use the teleportation portals. After all, time is limited. The earlier we arrive, the earlier we can feel at ease, right? Brother Lin is right. In that case, let's go. Su Ziqing said. Let's go. As he spoke, he asked Fang Hun to lead the way to the teleportation portals. Vast Origin City was Fang Hun's territory. No one dared to guarantee that there would be someone more familiar with it than him. The group flew all the way to the center of the city. The teleportation portals were built in the center of the city and were guarded by the guards of the city lord's mansion. As long as one had high-grade or supreme-grade divine crystals, one could use the space stones to activate the teleportation portals after paying. Of course, if one did not have high-grade or supreme-grade divine crystals, one could also use mid-grade or low-grade divine crystals. However, there would be more divine crystals this way. After all, the difference in quality of divine crystals was very large and the impurities in them were also very large. On the way, the group flew very slowly. After all, Lin Rei was currently flying with the cultivation of a true god. If he flew too fast, it would cause Su Ziqing to feel strange. However, during the process of flying, Lin Rei was not thinking about how to get Su Ziqing away from him. That way, he could display his cultivation without any restraint. If he flew at full speed, he would be able to reach the teleportation portals in the center of the city in an instant. Why would he hesitate? With a sigh, the group flew all the way. Finally, after an hour, Lin Rei and the others arrived at the open space in front of the teleportation portals. However, the moment Lin Rei and the others landed in front of the teleportation portals, the guards guarding the teleportation portals subconsciously bowed when they saw Fang Hun. Don't do what you have to do. Just pretend that I don't exist. Remember, do not expose my identity here. Do you understand? Fang Hun, who knew that this would be the result, sent a voice transmission to all the guards guarding the mansion the moment he landed. We will obey your orders. They had no choice. The guards who had already bowed felt very awkward at this moment. However, in order to complete their mission, the guards who bowed raised their hands and made a stretching gesture. Then, they naturally returned to their original state. How pretentious. Su Ziqing, who knew what was going on, was speechless. However, she did not point it out. Instead, she looked at Lin Rei and the others with a blank expression. This is the expression of the few of us when we pass through the teleportation portals. Keep it well. At this moment, Fang Hun recovered. He took out a space storage ring and handed it to the guard. This. Looking at the storage ring in front of him, the guard did not know whether to take it or not. At this moment, the guard had mixed feelings. He scratched his ears and cheeks and even had the thought of dying. However, he could not let the city lord wait for too long. Just as the guard was in a dilemma, he finally came up with an idea. When he came to his senses, he did not take it. Instead, he said to Fang Hun, "My friend, the city lord is in a good mood today. Therefore, all the cultivators who enter the teleportation portals at this hour are exempted. So, you'd better take back the storage ring." Fang Hun was taken aback by the guard's words. Of course, not only Fang Hun, but also Lin Rei, Gu Feng, Lin Xinyuan, and even Su Ziqing could not help but be taken aback. Strange expressions appeared on their faces. However, after thinking about it, they understood. After all, the person standing in front of him was his immediate superior. Open the teleportation portals and let them pass. At this moment, the guard's face lit up and he shouted behind him. Understood. At this moment, standing in front of a teleportation portal, the person who received the order nodded. Then, he took out a blue stone from his storage ring. After taking 5 steps forward, he mounted the stone in his hand into the groove that he had taken out a few years ago. Boom, swish, with a loud rumble, a blue beam of light instantly rushed out of vast origin city and toward a higher level. Hurry up and go in. Every time the portal is activated, the space stone will not last for a long time. At this moment, the person in charge looked at Lin Rei and the others and urged them. Let's go. Linley, who understood the reason behind this, nodded to the person holding the teleportation array. He took a step forward and appeared in the teleportation array. Lin Xianyuan and the others immediately followed closely behind Linley, not leaving him by even an inch. Swish, at this moment, the blue beam of light that seemed to pierce through the sky began to disappear the moment Lin Rei and the others stepped into the teleportation portal. It came and went quickly. The entire process took less than half a minute. When the blue light disappeared, Linley and the others, who had stepped into the array formation, disappeared along with the blue light. In the southern part of the 9th province, Mystic Essence Mountain, where the gods of the Talisman Grandmaster resided. At this moment, the originally quiet and desolate Mystic Essence Mountain was bustling with noise and excitement. On a mountain road, the flowers and trees on both sides were very novel. In particular, there were some rare flowers and herbs that could not be seen normally on both sides of the road. However, at this moment, the road at the foot of the mountain was crowded with people. Everyone's face was filled with anxiety as they walked up the mountain. They ignored the beautiful scenery on both sides of the road. The number of disciples recruited by the Talisman Grandmaster this time is the highest in previous years. I don't know why, but it's really strange. Tisk, isn't it good to recruit more disciples? This way, our children might even be able to enter this sacred cultivation ground. In this way, isn't it just around the corner to bring glory to our ancestors and revitalize our family? Yeah. The number of disciples recruited by the Talisman Grandmaster this time is really shocking. In the past, I only thought about it in my dreams. I didn't expect it to really happen now. Tisk, look at all of you. You don't even know if you can become a disciple of the Talisman Grandmaster, yet you're already dreaming? At this moment, a group of people were discussing. Their discussion was naturally very clear. The recruitment of disciples by the Talisman Grandmaster was a major event in the entire 9th province. After those who came from the south and those who came from the north received this news, all of them stopped what they were doing and rushed over with their children day and night. There are quite a lot of people. I didn't expect the Talisman Grandmaster to be so popular. At this moment, at the foot of the mountain, a young man in plain white clothes frowned slightly. He was speechless as he looked at the crowded mountain road. Yeah, the Talisman Grandmaster is one of the 7 sects after all. Moreover, the Tao of Talismans is indeed something that can't be seen. If one can refine the Tao of Talismans to the mastery level, I'm afraid that even top cultivators will suffer a setback. At this moment, a fair-faced pretty boy with a folding fan sighed when he heard the young man's words. Brother Su, since we've already arrived at the Talisman Grandmaster, should we? That's right, these two people were Lin Rei, Su Ziqing and the others who had rushed over from vast origin city. However, Gu Feng, Lin Xianyuan and Feng Hun did not follow them. When the group arrived at Mystic Origin Mountain, Lin Rei had asked them to find a place to cultivate in the surroundings. Brother Lin, are you trying to chase us away? Su Ziqing looked at Lin Rei with an aggrieved expression. Although it had only been a short dozen days since they had arrived here from vast origin city, and during these dozen days, they had been using the transportation formation and basically did not speak much. However, Su Ziqing was very certain that Lin Rei was not a simple person. His original plan was to follow Lin Rei and observe his plans. Now that they were here, how could Su Ziqing be separated from him? F***CK. Seeing Su Ziqing's shamelessness, Lin Rei was stunned and a helpless expression appeared on his face. Even Lin Rei could not do anything about this. He felt completely helpless when it came to Su Ziqing. Especially when Su Ziqing spoke in such a tone, Lin Rei could not resist at all, and his heart softened. Hey, brother, are you going or not? Even if you're not going, don't block the way, okay? It's extremely shameful to occupy a latrine but not take a shit, okay? Suddenly, while Lin Rei was at a loss for what to do, an extremely discordant voice sounded from beside him. Turning his head, he saw a young man standing on the spot and looking at them with a sloppy expression. You, what? Are you captivated by this brother's handsome appearance? How about it? Do you want an autograph? You should know that this brother will be a very powerful talisman master in the future. Hearing the young man's words, Lin Rei frowned. Originally, he felt helpless because of Su Ziqing, but now that this hothead had appeared, it gave Lin Rei a good opportunity to vent his anger. Looking at him, Lin Rei laughed and nodded. Okay, I also want to ask you something. As he spoke, he looked around and said awkwardly, Look, there are too many people here. Why don't we go to the side? You're not going to give me a beating, are you? At this moment, the young man suddenly became serious. Lin Rei was stunned, and then Lin Rei was completely speechless. The young man's serious expression disappeared in the next moment. Ha, I'm just kidding. I'm a future talisman master. How could I be beaten by you? As he spoke, he hooked his arm around Lin Rei's shoulder and said with a big face, Come, let's go to the side and let this brother give you an autograph. Chapter 849. Alright. Lin Rei didn't say anything else and didn't give the young man a chance. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control himself and would release his cultivation to kill this narcissistic kid. You stay here. I'll be back soon. He turned around and said to Su Ziqing calmly. Oh, I got it. However, before Lin Li could regain his composure, and before Su Ziqing could respond, the young man beside him tightened his grip on Lin Li's neck and pulled him towards the nearby forest. The young man used his cultivation to clear the way for Lin Rei. Finally, the two of them arrived at a quiet and deserted forest. The trees towered into the heavens and were extremely large. They blocked out the sun, but they were extremely bright. In addition, what caused Lin Li's body to tremble was the fact that these trees emanated a fragrance that caused Lin Li to feel relaxed and happy. What tree is this? Lin Rei asked subconsciously. He had never seen such a book before. This. The young man was surprised when he saw Lin Rei looking at the trees in front of him. Then, he smiled and said, Big brother, it can't be. Isn't this a spirit origin tree? Spirit origin tree? Lin Rei was confused when he heard the young man's introduction. He didn't know much about this tree. However, he liked the fragrance it emitted. Lin Rei liked it very much. As he thought about it, a long sword appeared in his hand. The young man's eyes were wide open and his expression was full of shock. He waved his long sword and chopped at the tree in front of him. Bang! Suddenly, the long sword was very sharp. It slashed through the tree without any hesitation. The tree fell to the ground. Rumble. However, perhaps because the tree was huge, it was more than 10 meters long and needed 3 people to wrap their arms around it. It fell to the ground with a loud bang, causing the ground to tremble. Seeing this, the young man was even more shocked. He didn't expect the person in front of him to be so fierce. He chopped at the tree without any warning. It's over. However, right at this moment, a bad thought suddenly appeared in his mind. What? What's wrong? Seeing the young man's expression change, Lin Rei was stunned and asked subconsciously. The soul origin trees are planted by the disciples of the Talisman Sect. Without the permission of the Talisman Sect's elders, no one is allowed to casually cut them down. Moreover, I heard that this soul origin tree is meant to be planted by the Talisman Grandmaster to build the Primal Chaos Pavilion. Now that you've cut down one of them, then, the young man's expression changed drastically as he thought of this. However, he did not leave immediately. Instead, he grabbed Lin Rei and tried to leave. No, we must leave this place quickly. If we are discovered by the members of the Talisman Sect, forget about joining the Talisman Sect, we will be lucky if we are not hunted down. The young man was afraid that Lin Rei would not leave, so he reached out and grabbed Lin Rei, wanting to drag him away. Unfortunately, he had underestimated Lin Rei's determination. Everyone who knew Lin Rei should know that as long as he, Lin Rei, set his mind on something, even if the Heavenly Emperor came, he wouldn't be able to change his mind. Even if the Heavenly Emperor came, he wouldn't be able to change his mind. Wait a moment. Let me take the loot first. After saying that, he used a little strength to break free from the young man's grip and walked towards the soul origin tree that was cut down. Damn! Are you crazy? Although the young man was shocked that Lin Rei had broken free from his grip, he was even more shocked when he saw Lin Rei walking towards the soul origin tree. The soul origin tree. That's right. This thing should have the effect of nourishing the soul and clearing the heart. If I use this thing to make a Dharma treasure, then... Looking at the soul origin tree, a plan started to form in his mind. If the young man knew about Lin Rei's actions, he would probably curse out loud. His mental strength instantly rushed out and wrapped around the soul origin tree. Then, he dragged it into his storage ring. After doing all this, a faint smile appeared on his face. Then, he turned around and walked towards the young man with an innocent look on his face. Damn! Beast! Lunatic! Seeing Linley walk over, the young man couldn't help but feel a bit more admiration for Linley. After doing such a thing, his state of mind was still so calm, without the slightest ripple. It was like the surface of a lake. Even if a fish swam past, it wouldn't cause the slightest ripple. Damn! Are you waiting for me? Regaining his composure from his admiration, he saw that Linley was nowhere to be seen. The youth's heart clenched, and he turned his head to scan his surroundings. In front of him, Linley was still there. It wasn't hard to see him. Hurry up. Otherwise, we won't be able to catch up. Without turning his head, Lin Rei said indifferently. Alas. Seeing how relaxed Linley was and how he wasn't disturbed by what had just happened, the young man sighed and turned around to chase after Linley. Hey, let me introduce myself again. I'm Lu Yuanqi from Tianfeng City. What about you? Lin Rei, from. Without turning his head, he slowly said to Lu Yuanqi, from Liaoyuan City. Although Lin Rei didn't spend much time with Lu Yuanqi, he deeply understood Lu Yuanqi's characteristics. He was talkative, and only knew one thing. His mouth was constantly chattering like a fly. Moreover, Lin Rei knew that if he didn't tell Lu Yuanqi his name, his ears wouldn't be free for a period of time. Damn! Lin Rei? This name is, Tsk. Looking at Linley, Lu Yuanqi followed behind Linley, a look of curiosity on his face. He constantly asked Linley if there was anything fun or interesting to do in vast Origin City. Was there anything interesting? In an instant, the nameless fire in Lin Rei's heart burned to his throat. If it wasn't for the fact that he was afraid of exposing his identity, Lin Rei would have already made him shut up. Of course, he wouldn't kill him. Instead, he would use a technique to subdue him and make him unable to speak for a short period of time. Just like that, Lu Yuanqi continued to ask questions. In the beginning, Lin Rei would respond with a sentence or two. However, as time went on, Lin Rei realized that Lu Yuanqi had the habit of asking for a yard after getting an inch. In the end, Lin Rei decided to just shut up. Then, he sealed off his hearing. Instantly, his ears became much quieter. At this moment, the two of them returned to the crowd. However, what gave Lin Rei a headache was that Su Ziqing didn't leave. Furthermore, it seemed like she hadn't taken a single step away. She was still in the same place as when he left. It seems that I won't be able to shake her off. Lin Rei shook his head helplessly. Then, he quickly walked to her side and said with a smile, "Let's go." Amen. Good. She nodded and didn't say anything. Then, she quietly followed Lin Rei. Who is so bold as to cut down the soul origin tree? However, not long after Lin Rei left, the three of them landed at the place where Lin Rei had cut down the soul origin tree. When they saw that the soul origin tree planted by the sect had been cut down and taken away, their faces were filled with anger. A murderous aura burst out of their bodies, as if it wanted to tear everything apart. Senior brother, please don't get angry. You've just made a breakthrough and haven't consolidated it yet. This will affect your cultivation. That's right, senior brother. We can't interfere in this matter. In my opinion, we should directly report this matter to the higher-ups. This is not a joke. You know, the soul origin tree was used to build the soul origin pavilion. Now that one is missing, it's a sin. Hiss, with that, the young man seemed to have thought of something terrible. His face suddenly turned pale, and his body couldn't help but tremble. Alas. Fine. How could he not know the importance of the soul origin tree? However, in the end, the three of them agreed to the previous proposal. Then, their figures flashed and disappeared. Naturally, Linley, who was currently climbing up the tree, didn't know what was happening in the forest. What he didn't know was that because of his whims, the construction of Primordial Chaos Pavilion, which had been waiting for 10,000 years, was once again delayed. Of course, the Seal Sect had sent out elites to search for this matter. After all, the construction of the Hunyuan Pavilion was very important. Now that it had been delayed, who wouldn't be angry if such a thing happened to them? At this moment, Lin Rei and the other two were slowly walking halfway up the mountain. Their faces were full of fatigue as they looked left and right. At this time, Lu Yuanqi, who was following behind Lin Rei, shouted with an unhappy look on his face. I'm not going. How long will it take? Isn't it just a mountain gate? Why do you have to mobilize so many people? Can't you just fly up? F*CK, who is this? Why is he so fierce? Yes, indeed. He's sitting on the ground and making a scene. I'm afraid this man is a fool. Yes, indeed. Hee, who is this man? I wonder how his elders taught him. At this moment, Lu Yuanqi's voice was so loud that everyone who passed by heard him. They pointed at Lin Rei and the other two openly. F*CK. Looking at the gazes of the people around him, Lin Rei was stunned. He then turned to look at Lu Yuanqi, who was sitting on the ground. At this moment, Lin Rei was furious. The veins on his head bulged and he looked like he was going to beat someone up. F*CKU, can you do it? Look at where you are. This is the Seal Sect. This is the F*King Seal Sect. Do you think this is your Kong bed? Of course, even if it is your Kong bed, don't you have to take off your shoes to get on it? Lin Rei's explosive words stunned everyone around him. Even Su Ziqing was stunned. Ever since she knew Lin Rei had always given her an unfathomable feeling. But now, what about you? Do you think I don't want to fly there? Do you think everyone is stupid? Isn't it because the Seal Sect has set up a talisman that prohibits flying? As he spoke, he was afraid that Lu Yuanqi would not believe him. With a thought, a short sword appeared in Lin Rei's hand. Lin Rei had obtained this sword when he had just started cultivating. To the current Lin Rei, it was extremely weak. Seeing Lin Rei's actions, everyone was stunned. Then, they looked at the young man sitting on the ground sympathetically. At this moment, everyone thought that Lin Rei was going to enforce justice on behalf of the heavens. However, the next moment, everyone was stunned. Lin Rei looked at the sky and squinted his eyes. Then, he exerted force in his arm and threw the short sword in his hand into the air. Whoosh, his speed was very fast. The people watching Linley watched as the flying dagger left Linley's hand flew 15 meters into the air. With a bang sound, the dagger instantly shattered and transformed into nothingness. Hiss, everyone who saw this scene couldn't help but be shocked, sucking in a breath of cold air. This, at this moment, Lu Yuanqi, who was sitting on the ground and watching this scene, had goosebumps all over his body. His whole body felt cold, as if it was not the dagger that had turned into nothingness, but him. Seeing Lu Yuanqi's expression, Lin Rei smiled and said, "Why? Do you still want to fly now? Of course, I won't stop you this time. On the contrary, I will help you." As he spoke, he extended his hand and walked forward with a strange smile on his face. Seeing Lin Rei like this, the surrounding people felt a chill and could not help but take a step back. Seeing Lu Yuanqi walking towards him with a strange smile on his face, he was startled and his face turned pale. He then smiled, stood up and ran up the mountain. As he ran, he couldn't stop begging for mercy. I was wrong, okay? Why are you so stingy, really? As time passed, his voice gradually disappeared from Lin Rei's ears. In response, Lin Rei smiled and looked relaxed. Damn, I can finally relax now. As he thought of this, he signaled to Su Ziqing and walked up the mountain. However, Lin Rei did not know that his action had not only alerted the people present, but also some old guys in the Talisman sect. At this moment, 10,000 meters above the mountain road, there were 4 white-haired, middle-aged men whose faces hadn't aged at all. Their gazes were locked onto Linley, who was walking down the mountain road. Looking at him, they looked at him with admiration. TSK, not bad, not bad. I didn't expect this little guy to be able to discover the rune prohibition in the sky. Yes, this little guy seems to have a certain foundation in rune prohibition. Moreover, this time, the sect did not tell them about the rune prohibition in the sky. Hiss, as soon as these words were spoken, the 4 of them looked at each other and the admiration in their eyes became even more intense. This is incredible. It seems like this little guy, don't fight with me. This little guy is mine. At this moment, one of the people dressed in black said. His voice was filled with determination and his expression was filled with excitement. He looked at the people around him cautiously. Why? This old man wants this little fellow. You all know that apart from my own granddaughter, I basically don't have anyone close to me. Now that one has finally appeared, I don't think you all will snatch it from this old man, right? Damn, this bastard. He's even trying to kidnap our feelings. The other 3 elders looked at the old man dressed in red and felt disdain in their hearts. However, they maintained a smile on their faces. That's right, old man Long. You also said that you only have your granddaughter, but you didn't say how many disciples you have. More than a dozen personal disciples. With so many personal disciples, it doesn't matter if you have one more or one less. So, bastard. Chapter 850. Take me in as a disciple? At that moment, 10,000 meters up in the sky, they were arguing about their disciple. However, they did not know that Lin Rei had heard their conversation very clearly. His gaze swept in the direction of the 4 old men in the sky. Linley's expression was strange, and a hint of disdain flashed through his eyes. 4 Grandmaster Talisman Masters want to take me in as a disciple. I can't believe you guys can think of that. Lin Rei could clearly guess who the 4 old men were based on their auras. They were either alchemists, weapon masters, or rune masters from the Talisman Grandmaster from the Talisman Grandmaster. However, the 4 of them were all ultimate gods. Although they were all mid-stage ultimate gods, it was easy to deduce where they came from based on their conversation. They were either the supreme elders of the Talisman Grandmaster. There was nothing else. However, Lin Rei did not agree with their thoughts. Moreover, Lin Rei believed that a Grandmaster Talisman Grandmaster would not be able to become the master of an honorable Talisman Grandmaster. That would be courting death. More importantly, the 4 of them would not go to Lin Rei no matter what. Therefore, Lin Rei treated the 4 old men as clowns at most. Tisk, Lin Rei ignored them and continued to move forward. They had already covered more than half of the journey. Lin Rei maintained a refined smile on his face. As for Su Ziqing, he was the type of person who would not shed tears until he saw the coffin and would not act until he saw the hair. He had to find out Lin Rei's secret, otherwise, a day passed in the blink of an eye. The sky was dark and the sun was setting in the west. At that moment, the sky was dark and an invisible sense of oppression appeared. We're finally here. This is so King tiring. I wonder if the Talisman Grandmaster's disciples have to leave like this when they leave. Yeah, if I knew this would happen, I would have left long ago. It's so nice to stay at home and eat and drink. It's so comfortable. Sigh. What was the point of saying all this? Aren't they already here? Really, I don't know what the old man is thinking. His family is obviously not bad, so why did he have to come here to be abused? Really. Sigh, hard times are coming. I really miss the carefree atmosphere of the past. At this moment, Lin Rei, who was also walking on the mountain road, heard the complaints of the people around him. The corners of his mouth twitched unconsciously, and the expression on his face became even more colorful. Sigh, these people nowadays really don't know how to cherish things. Don't they know that only by suffering the most hardships can one rise to the top? Really. Looking at the grumbling, depressed, and unforgettable people around him, he couldn't help but sigh. Of course, those who were able to come here were mostly people with perseverance and firm Dao hearts. Of course, perhaps some of them were forced to come by their families, but to be able to come here was already a blessing from the heavens. There would be those who were promoted, and there would be those who were not. Just like this path, Lin Rei could feel the pressure from it. Although it wasn't very strong, it was more or less a threat to these people. Lin Rei could feel that the person who was exerting the pressure was a godly master realm cultivator. Although there were people who gave up halfway, there were still 40 to 50,000 people in front of the mountain gate of the Talisman Sect. This was a very impressive number. Even if the entire Xuanzong sect was added up, there wouldn't be so many people. Looking at the black mass of people around him, Lin Rei smiled bitterly and thought to himself, I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect that one day, I would have to compete with these people for the position of the new disciples of the Talisman Sect. If this were to spread to the ears of those great sects, I'm afraid they wouldn't believe it. What's wrong? Su Ziqing, who had been paying attention to Lin Rei, saw the bitter smile on Lin Rei's face and asked curiously. Nothing. Lin Rei was speechless when he saw Su Ziqing's puzzled look. Lin Rei felt that getting to know Su Ziqing was the worst thing that had happened in his life. Sigh, damn. Lin Rei, you really made me look for you. Suddenly, a hand reached out from behind and grabbed Lin Rei's neck. Coupled with his loud voice, Lin Rei was startled when he wasn't paying attention. Lin Rei was very familiar with this voice. It was a nightmare that haunted him during this period of time. Who else could it be other than Lu Yuanqi? Turning around, Lin Li looked at the youth who had his hand around his neck. He felt a wave of helplessness. In this short period of time, he had actually encountered two weirdos. At this moment, Lin Li began to wonder if he had offended someone, for these two fellows to be so aggressive towards him. Can you pull your arm away from my neck first? You're strangling me. Lin Rei said. Of course, this was just an act. With Lu Yuanqi's cultivation, he shouldn't be able to strangle Lin Rei to death. Although Lin Rei was pretending, Lu Yuanqi was serious. The moment he saw Lin Rei's face turn red, he felt guilty and immediately let go of Lin Rei. He stood aside and smiled awkwardly. I didn't do it on purpose. I was just excited to see you. So I couldn't control my strength. Lu Yuanqi's guilty expression disappeared in the next moment. He waved his hand indifferently and said, besides, you won't blame me, right? Because of our relationship. At first, Lin Li felt a little guilty when he saw Lu Yuanqi's guilt. But at this moment, Lin Li knew that Lu Yuanqi's shamelessness had reached an unimaginable level. It was beyond his imagination. Regarding this, Lin Li felt extremely helpless. Since when had anyone dared to treat him like this? Suddenly, a burst of laughter came from the side. Lin Li's face instantly fell. Turning his head, he saw Su Ziqing looking at Lin Li with her hands on her stomach. She couldn't hide the smile on her face. Bastard. Looking at the two of them, Lin Rei's anger was ignited. He raised his hand and was about to teach Lu Yuanqi a lesson. However, Just as Linley was about to raise his hand, a voice rang out. Upon hearing this voice, Linley's arm froze in midair, and he didn't continue. Cultivation. Everyone, please be quiet. I am the Sect's deacon, Lu He. I am here to receive all of you. When the voice was heard, everyone, including those who were fooling around, talking and cultivating, opened their eyes and looked in the direction of the voice. At this moment, a middle-aged man in green robes stood in the air and looked down at the crowd. There was no disdain in his eyes. Instead, they were filled with gentleness and peace. Everyone, I'm really sorry about today. The sky is dark now, and the Sect doesn't have any extra rooms for so many people to stay in. Therefore, the Sect leader has decided that everyone will stay here for the time being. After resting and recuperating, tomorrow is the time to participate in the disciple recruitment. What do you think about your cultivation? He did not force Linley, nor did he act overbearing. He did not act as though he was a disciple of the Talisman Grandmaster, and he was amazing. Linley had a good impression of him. There were not many people like him in the cultivation world. Of course, Linley's thoughts were the same as everyone else's. Thus, someone quickly came to a decision regarding this matter. I agree with the Sect leader's decision. All of us agree with the Sect leader's decision. All of us agree with the Sect leader's decision. Let's recuperate today. If there was a first, there would be a second. At this moment, there was a perverted person who agreed with the suggestion one after another. Lu He, who was standing in the air, was very grateful. When Lu He first received the task, he thought that it would be very difficult to complete it. After all, there were more than 10,000 people. However, it seemed like it was going smoothly. All right. In that case, thank you for giving me face. Lu He cupped his fists and thanked the crowd. Deacon Lu, you are too courteous. The crowd returned the greeting politely. In order to blend in, Lin Rei lowered his head and bowed. However, among the 10,000 people, there was only one person who did not bow. Instead, he looked at Lu He with a smile. This person was none other than Lu Yuanqi, who was standing beside Lin Rei. What are you doing? Hurry up and bow. At this moment, Lin Rei noticed Lu Yuanqi's expression and teased him. Of course, although Lin Rei said that, he was very happy in his heart. He even prayed, hurry up and catch him. Hurry up and take him away. If you take him away, my ears will be completely relaxed. However, Lu Yuanqi did not seem to hear Lin Rei's words. Instead, he continued to look at Lu He with a smile on his face as though they had been good friends for many years. However, Lu He, who was in the air, naturally noticed Lu Yuanqi, who did not bow. When he looked at Lu He, the smile on his face grew wider. In a flash, he disappeared in the air. In the next moment, he was beside Lu Yuanqi. When Lu He saw Lu Yuanqi's expression, he was full of smiles and sighed. He reached out his hand and stroked Lu Yuanqi's hair. He said dotingly, Shao Qi, why are you here? Didn't grandfather forbid you from coming and asked you to stay at home and learn the family's cultivation method? If the old master knows about this, he will lock you up and make you reflect on your mistakes. What? What's going on? At this moment, after hearing Lu He's words and Lu He's actions, Lin Rei felt that this matter was not what he thought it was. As expected, in the next moment, Lu Yuanqi said, Oh, uncle, please forgive me. You know that I have always wanted to come out and play, but the old master forced me to stay at home and said that Talisman Taoism was a small Tao. I was not convinced, so I came here to try and prove that the old master was wrong. Lu Yuanqi said with an unyielding expression. This scene made Lin Rei stunned. It was as if Lu Yuanqi was the real Lu Yuanqi at this moment. Hee, uncle, don't secretly tell the old master this news, okay? If I find out about it, I'll mess things up. You should know how destructive I can be. Don't mess things up when the time comes. Don't. At that moment, Lu He's neck shrunk back as he replied with a terrified expression, Good nephew, I won't tell the old man, okay? Don't do anything rash. This isn't the Lu family. If you cause trouble here, no one will be able to protect you. Even if you beg me, I won't be able to do anything. You have to understand that. Okay, maybe I am thinking too much. Seeing this scene, Lin Rei immediately decided to re-examine Lu Yuanqi. At this moment, Lin Rei could not help but think of this sentence: a leopard can't change its spots. A dog can't change its habit of eating shit, and a pig can't change its humph. Hee, good that you know. Seeing that his uncle was going along with him, cooperating with him, Lu Yuanqi glanced at Lin Rei and said, "Uncle, this is the new friend I made today, Lin Rei." "Lin Rei, this is my, okay, uncle." Before Lu Yuanqi could finish, Lin Rei said, "I am Lin Rei." "Greetings, Deacon Lu." "Lin Rei?" Looking at Lin Rei, Lu He's pupils shrank. He sized up Lin Rei and then smiled, "Hello, friend. Have fun with my little Chi in the future." Damn, you want to trick me when you just met me?" As the former sect leader, Lin Rei knew what Lu He was thinking. Of course, Lin Rei could not sit still and wait for his death. "Yes, I know that, but..." Lin Rei chuckled. He suddenly realized that his voice was full of conspiracy. "Look, you just met Lu Yuanqi. You should bring him back and have a good chat with him." Furthermore, as he spoke, he was afraid that Lu He would not agree. He immediately opened his mouth and pressed on, "Look, there are so many people here. There are so many eyes. You also know your nephew's ability. You have to keep an eye on him. If anything happens to him, won't your grandfather kill you?" When Lin Rei mentioned Lu Yuanqi's ability, he inadvertently emphasized it. Hearing this, Lu He was about to say something else, but then he realized that Lin Li's words were absolutely correct. There were so many people here, including people from the various major clans and sections. He also believed in his nephew's destructive power and ability to cause trouble. Regarding this, Lu He hesitated, wavered. Go. Go back with your uncle first. You will participate in the preliminaries tomorrow. See you when you enter the Talisman Grandmaster." He did not wait for Lu Yuanqi or Lu He's agreement. He pulled Su Ziqing into the crowd and disappeared into the sea of people. The uncle and nephew of the Lu family were left behind. They stood there in a daze, staring in the direction Lin Li had left. Their hearts were in a daze. Damn, this. Half a minute later, Lu He seemed to have figured something out. He turned to look at his nephew, Lu Yuanqi, and was speechless. Sigh, looks like I have to bring this little devil with me again, Lu He thought to himself. Chapter 851. Thinking of this, Lu He sighed and turned his head. He saw Lu Yuanqi looking at him with expectant eyes. "Let's go. We'll make do with my place today. We'll prepare for the competition tomorrow morning. This time, you have to be careful. Most of the people here are disciples of sects and clans. It's best to be careful. If anything happens to you here, I'm afraid Old Master will tear me apart. Don't worry." Looking at the worried Lu He, Lu Yuanqi smiled and patted his chest. "Who am I? I'm your nephew, the genius young master of the Lu clan. Don't worry, I'll definitely get you first place tomorrow." When he saw his nephew exaggerating like this, Lu He was speechless for a moment. After that, he didn't say anything and turned around to leave. Follow him. There are formations set up by runes everywhere. Plus, it's dark. If I make a mistake, the consequences will be unimaginable. Lu He took the first step. Suddenly, he stopped and shouted at Lu Yuanqi, who was behind him. Then, he continued forward. "Got it." Looking at his uncle leaving, Lu Yuanqi rolled his eyes and glanced at the direction Lin Li left. Then, he retracted his gaze and chased after his uncle with his cultivation. However, at this moment, Lin Rei, who had left early, was not far away from Lu Yuanqi. Seeing that Lu Yuanqi had left, he suddenly felt relieved and smiled. "Humph, you little bastard, you finally left. If you didn't leave, my ears would be hurt. Lin Rei was very excited about Lu Yuanqi's departure. How could he not be happy that the little fly that had been following him had finally left? However, although one person had left, there was still a follower. Lin Rei really didn't know what to do with him. Lin Rei didn't know what to do with him. Hee, it seems that you're very happy that Lu Yuanqi left. At this moment, Su Ziqing saw how relaxed Lin Rei was and asked curiously, if that's the case, would you be happier if I told you that I left as well? Lin Rei hadn't recovered from the excitement of Lu Yuanqi's departure. Therefore, after hearing Su Ziqing's words, he spoke decisively without hesitation. Of course, it's better if all of you leave. That way, you'll be free, and your ears will be clean. As he spoke, Lin Rei sensed that something was wrong. In the end, his voice grew weaker and weaker until it completely disappeared. However, when the voice finally disappeared, Lin Rei spat out his thoughts. You bastard. Hearing Lin Rei's words, Su Ziqing's expression darkened. He pointed at Lin Rei and cursed. Then, he stomped his foot and left angrily. This stomp. What the hell is that? Su Ziqing's action stunned Lin Rei. A man stomping his foot like a girl when he was anxious. This character, this style, Lin Rei might be a little bit, of course, he came to himself in a flash. After all, this matter didn't affect him at all. Anyway, he wouldn't have much interaction with Su Ziqing in the future. Thinking of this, he watched Su Ziqing's figure disappear completely. He smiled and shook his head. Then, he turned and walked in the opposite direction of Su Ziqing. This was exactly what Lin Rei wanted to happen and the result he wanted. Now that the two weirdos had disappeared, Lin Rei's world suddenly became clear. Phew. It's finally completely peaceful. As he spoke, he used his consciousness to check the appearance of the people around him as he walked. Lin Rei didn't care much about the people around him. Most of them were divine masters or divine emperors. Of course, there were divine emperors as well. As for divine emperors, there were only a few of them. After all, if a clan or an emperor clan had divine emperors, it meant that the clan or emperor clan was very powerful. Since that was the case, why would they participate in the recruitment of the Talisman Grandmaster? Of course, there would also be a small group of people who would go back to eat. Some of them were rogue cultivators. After all, the Talisman Grandmaster was one of the 7 sects and had a strong foundation. If they could cultivate in such a paradise, their cultivation speed would increase greatly. Looking at the cultivation levels of the people around him, Lin Li could only shake his head the entire time. Sigh. Looks like there's no face here. Most of the cultivation is like this. There's no surprise at all. Lin Rei's eyes were filled with disdain. And then, just as Lin Li was thinking this, the divine sense he sent out confirmed that it had landed on a certain person. It was a young man in a white long robe. His body was straight like a sharp sword and he gave off a sharp feeling. Not bad. Born with sword bones and the blood flowing in his body is extraordinary. Moreover, his cultivation is at the Divine Emperor realm. This person. TSK, not bad. However, just as Lin Rei's gaze fell on the young man in white, the young man seemed to have sensed something. He turned his head and fixed his gaze on Lin Rei. At that moment, their eyes met. At that moment, when the young man in white saw Lin Rei, his body trembled and his heart skipped a beat. What's going on? Why does this person give me such a feeling? Even my teacher can't do that. As he thought about it, he used his consciousness to check on Lin Rei. What? True God realm? How is that possible? At this moment, after a few breaths of time had passed, the white-robed youth was completely stupefied. He stared blankly at Lin Li, a look of confusion on his face. A true God realm cultivator could make him, a divine emperor realm expert, tremble with just a glance. It was impossible anywhere else. However, it really happened here and it happened to him. It was a great blow to him. Oh, interesting. Seeing the look in the white-robed youth's eyes, Linley was startled. Revealing an amused smile, he strode towards the white-robed youth. At the same time, when the young man in white saw Lin Ray's action, he couldn't help but move towards Lin Ray. The young man looked helpless. "What's your name? Where did you learn from? From what I can see, your bones are clear and distinct, and you have the appearance of a cultivator." Thus. At this moment, Linley suddenly spoke out. Although it was a bit abrupt, the youth still responded. Looking at the young man, Linley couldn't help but laugh and tease him, an amused smile on his face. "You." Hearing those words, the young man was stunned. His expression darkened, and he was about to make a move. However, at the instant he made his move, the gaze from before suddenly appeared. In an instant, the young man who was originally full of vigor was like a deflated balloon. His earlier vigor was gone. At this moment, the young man was angry, but he didn't dare to say anything. Although he could sense Lin Ray's cultivation, he felt that Lin Ray was not simple. He stopped and forced a smile on his face. He asked, "I'm Jian Feng, Jian Yulan Dragon God's disciple. May I know who you are, Jian Feng?" Hearing the young man's words, Lin Ray was puzzled. It was a good name, but the name Jian Yulan Dragon God did not have any influence on this person at all. He must be a great person. However, he must be an extraordinary person. After all, his disciple had a proud and unyielding character, and his sword bones were sharp. If he wasn't a capable person, he wouldn't have been able to teach Jian Feng such powerful sword skills, let alone nurture him to such an extraordinary level. "I'm Lin Ray." As for my master, I should be referring to myself. I'm just a rogue cultivator. Before brother Jian Feng died, I'm not even worth mentioning." Jian Feng regained his senses and looked at Jian Feng. "Lin Ray?" Hearing Linley's self-introduction, Jian Feng frowned for a moment before regaining his composure. What are you talking about, fellow Daoist? I'm not any better. Master is always alone. Even now, I haven't seen him in 100 years. Lin Ray shrugged and glanced at Jian Feng. Finally, his eyes fell on the long sword in Jian Feng's hand. TSK. Not bad. This sword looks extraordinary. The sword chi on it is so strong that it makes one's hair stand on end. It's a good sword. Hearing these words, Jian Feng instantly tightened his grip on his longsword. His eyes were filled with caution as he stared at Linley, his expression extremely guarded. As a sword cultivator, the sword in his hand was equivalent to his life. No one could touch it. Whoever touched it would die. However, looking at Lin Ray, Jian Feng had an illusion that he was not a match for him. Moreover, it was to the extent of being beaten up. Jian Feng's illusion was very accurate. Indeed, Lin Ray could suppress Jian Feng with just a lift of his hand. Not only in terms of cultivation realm, but also in terms of sword Dao. Rumble, suddenly, just as Lin Ray's eyes fell on the long sword in Jian Feng's hand and his eyes were filled with admiration, a loud explosion pulled Lin Ray back to reality. A ray of golden light shot up to the sky from the depths of the talisman sect. Waves of powerful energy fluctuations spread out in all directions with the golden light as the center. At the same time, the spiritual energy within 100,000 feet radius seemed to have a consciousness of its own. All of them rushed towards the direction where the golden light had appeared. This scene attracted everyone's attention. Generally speaking, there were a few explanations for this energy. First, of course, it's the birth of a heavenly treasure. Second, it's the appearance of an ancient relic or an ancient tomb. This can also cause a strange sound. Third, this third one is very normal. When someone breaks through to the sage state or a powerful realm, a series of strange sounds will appear. Of course, the crowd was still unaware of the above three situations. No one knew what had appeared that could cause such a powerful strange sound. Heavenly treasure. It must be a heavenly treasure. Yes, it must be. Looks like we didn't come here in vain. I didn't expect to encounter such a thing. Yes, as the saying goes, the heavenly treasure will belong to the fated one. This is the will of the heavens. At this moment, the crowd was discussing. Lin Rei smiled. At this moment, if Xia Feng was here and saw Lin Rei's smile, she would know that Lin Rei was coveting something. Sigh. It looks like we can't suppress that thing anymore. Yes. After all, it's not a divine weapon. Moreover, it's a natural spiritual treasure of a higher realm. It has been cultivating since the ancient times and it has already cultivated a consciousness. If we want to suppress it, the ancestor who founded the sect has to be reborn. Otherwise. Sigh. Natural spiritual treasure. If this thing is controlled by the sect, won't it be just around the corner for me to break through to the honorable level rune master? I might even be able to prove my way with runes. Who knows? As they spoke, the crowd could not help but feel that it was a pity. An old man spoke when he saw everyone's regretful expressions. All right, let's stop talking. Let's do our best to suppress it. At the same time, send someone to inform the tens of thousands of new disciples in front of the sect. Tell them that the golden light that is being emitted is the result of a natural treasure dyeing their hair. Now, the sect has decided to set this as the first test. Whoever is able to walk within 100 meters of the golden light will pass. If he is able to walk within 50 meters of the golden light, he will not need to participate in the later part of the competition. If someone is able to walk within 10 meters of the golden light, then his treatment will be doubled. Not only will he not have to participate in the competition, his status will be raised again and he will immediately become a core disciple of the sect. Change the second test as well. Since the first test is related to that thing, then the second test should be related to that thing as well. The top 20 can enter and subdue it. The heavenly treasure will belong to the fated one. So, this matter is decided. Go and notify them. The old man instructed. Yes, I will take care of it now. At this moment, a middle-aged man nodded and acknowledged the old man's words. Since that's the case, let's leave and try our best to suppress that thing so that we can last a little longer in this competition. This can be considered as benefiting the sect and making a contribution to the sect. As he spoke, he ignored the middle-aged man. A few other white-haired old men looked at each other and nodded with a smile. Then, their figures flashed and instantly disappeared from the spot. Sigh, this kind of thing always happens when the sect is recruiting disciples. It looks like the recruitment this time won't be as smooth as before. Sigh. He thought to himself. Then, he shook his head and stopped thinking about it. Then, he turned around and rushed out. How about it? Do you want to give it a try? I can feel that the thing that is emitting the golden light is of a very high level. Furthermore, I can feel that this thing might be able to train one's mental strength. If you can obtain it, then, you won't be far from breaking through to the martial sage level. In front of the mountain gate, Lin Rei, who was standing among the crowd, looked at the golden light with a fiery expression. However, just as Lin Rei was feeling excited, a voice sounded. Hearing this voice, Lin Rei's body couldn't help but tremble. His face was filled with joy. Little dragon, it's you, you're awake? That's right, the system's weapon spirit, Little Dragon. With the help of the system and Lin Rei, the little dragon had finally woken up. I'm awake. Seeing Lin Rei's excited expression, the little dragon's heart warmed. However, he quickly regained his serious expression. This was not the time for them to be reunited. Think of a way to obtain this thing. It's very important to you. Chapter 852. Yes, I know. Lin Rei, who was still excited, had a serious look on his face. When the golden light appeared, his mental strength was instantly threatened. It was like a venomous snake waiting for an opportunity to strike. It stared at him with greed and desire. The thing in the golden light is not simple. It can make my mental strength feel threatened. You can imagine how powerful it is. Moreover, as he spoke, he smiled and continued, moreover, even if you didn't tell me, do you think I wouldn't go and check it out? You should know that fortune comes from danger. Hee hee, you brat. After not seeing you for so long, I didn't expect you to still have this bad habit. However, I like it. Ha ha ha. At this moment, the two of them looked at each other and laughed. Their laughter was so loud that the surrounding crowd looked at Lin Rei in confusion. Who is this person? Why is he so presumptuous in public? Yes. Who is this person? Could he be a fool? Yes, I agree. This person might be an idiot. Moreover, his cultivation base is so low. He is only at the true god realm. Yet, he dared to participate in the Talisman Grandmaster's recruitment with such a low cultivation base. Moreover, he even passed the ancient mountain path. Of course, there was also sympathy when there was contempt. Some people despised Lin Rei, but there was also a group of people who pitied Lin Rei. Sigh. What a pity. His brain is damaged at such a young age. Otherwise, with his looks, he might be able to achieve great things. Yes. However, I don't believe that he is only at the true god realm since he was able to pass the ancient mountain path. Yes, I agree. Let's see. Perhaps this person will be able to show off his skills this time. Let's see. Everything is unknown. Lin Rei felt that the surrounding people's comments, disdain, contempt, doubt, pity, and sympathy were all jokes. Moreover, Lin Rei could not hear the discussions of the surrounding people. At this moment, Lin Rei was still immersed in the fact that the little dragon had woken up. He was unable to extricate himself. Are you alright? A weak voice entered Lin Rei's ears. Suddenly, Lin Rei paused. His smile disappeared, and he looked down. At this moment, Jian Feng was looking at him with confusion. His expression was extremely interesting. You haven't? Lin Rei had assumed that Jian Feng would choose to leave, but who would have thought? No. How could I leave without greeting you, fellow Daoist? Also. As he spoke, his gaze turned to the golden light in the distance. His expression became serious as he said, that thing should have appeared. So. I would like to ask fellow Daoist to be my partner. If you can obtain that thing, that would be the best. What? That thing? What is it? Although he knew where Jian Feng was pointing, he did not understand what the thing he was talking about was. Moreover, the most important thing was that he wanted that thing. After all, it was something that the little dragon wanted. As for forming a team, Lin Rei had not thought about it. After all, with his strength, Lin Rei was confident that he did not need Jian Feng. Hearing Lin Rei's question, Jian Feng was stunned. Then, he froze on the spot. His expression was full of hesitation and solemnity. It seemed that he was making a difficult decision. Well, you don't have to say it. In any case, I probably won't be able to come into contact with that thing. After all, with my level of cultivation, I probably won't be able to obtain it. Since he was putting on an act, he had to go all the way. After he finished speaking, his face was filled with disappointment. Lin Li's performance was more realistic than real gold. No, I will tell you. But you have to promise me that you will not let a third person know. Otherwise, you will be hunted down. At this moment, as if he had made a decision, the hesitation in his eyes turned into determination. All right, tell me. With a smile, he waved his hand and 2 chairs appeared in front of him. In response, Lin Rei gestured for Jian Feng to take a seat. Then, he sat down and looked at Jian Feng seriously. Sigh. Jian Feng sighed as he looked at Lin Rei. Then, he sat down. After hesitating for a while, he spoke. Jian Feng spoke. Actually, I am not from the Talisman Grandmaster. I believe you can tell that I am a sword cultivator. Therefore, it is impossible for me to change my mind. However, a few years ago, something happened. As he spoke, Jian Feng looked ahead and was stunned for a long time. It was as if he had entered a deep memory. I remember it very clearly. A few years ago, my master suddenly came to me and told me that a very powerful innate spiritual treasure would appear in the Talisman Grandmaster. This item is known to all cultivators. It is an item left behind from the primordial era. I heard that this item can train a cultivator's mental strength. The user could quickly become a talisman master, an alchemist, a weapon refiner, and a formation master. Moreover, the final requirement was for this item to be in the shape of a pen. This was the most difficult thing for a talisman master. Of course, there were pros and cons. Although this thing was very good for cultivators in all aspects, the only downside was its power. Its power was beyond one's imagination. Even divine venerables couldn't subdue it and could only suppress it. This was something that only several divine venerables working together could do. Oh. Upon hearing Jian Feng's words, Lin Rei's face was filled with anticipation. Most of what Jian Feng said was what the little dragon had told him. However, Lin Rei had never heard of an innate spiritual treasure. Moreover, it was in the shape of a pen. Of course, Lin Li wasn't interested in these things. Especially when he heard about connate spiritual treasures, Lin Li raised his eyebrows and his eyes flashed. He seemed to be itching for action. Yes, that's right. However, even though divine venerables can't make it recognize me as its master, for some reason, my master gave me a method to subdue it. So, this time, I'll need that fellow cultivator to help me. If I really get the item, I'll be able to get all kinds of treasures and cultivation methods. Even my master will take you in as his disciple. Jian Feng's face was filled with admiration as he spoke. Stars could be seen in his eyes. Your master? Looking at Jian Feng's expression, Lin Rei was stunned. He began to search for this person in his mind. No matter what, Lin Rei could not figure out why a divine emperor disciple would come to subdue an innate spiritual treasure. However, although he was puzzled, he kept a smile on his face and no one noticed anything wrong. Yes, my master. Don't worry. My master also said that this innate spiritual treasure is called the Immortal Banishing Brush. It was left behind by the Kunpeng people in the untainted land as if to suppress something. However, as time went by, my master could not remember some things. However, he remembered the secret method to subdue the Immortal Banishing Brush. At the same time, he also knew that the brush would appear during this period of time, so you came. You came to subdue the banished immortal brush, but you were afraid that while you were subduing it, you would be ambushed by other geniuses of the same generation. Thus, you wanted to rope in allies, and offered extremely generous conditions so generous that no one could refuse them, right? Before Jian Feng could finish, Lin Li spoke out. Yes, you are right. Jian Feng did not deny it. Lin Rei was right. Jian Feng also found it hard to believe. He did not expect Lin Rei to be so thorough in such a short period of time. Lin Rei was so thorough. Alas. After a sigh, Lin Rei shook his head slightly and said, Your plan is really good. However, I'm sorry, I don't intend to accept your invitation. Not for anything else. Then, he looked at the golden light and was amazed. He could not help but take a step forward. You. Are you also? Seeing Lin Rei's action, Jian Feng was stunned. Then, he guessed. Oh, yes, you're right. He didn't deny it, for no other reason than because, in his eyes, Jian Feng had never been of any importance to him. At this moment, Jian Feng did not say anything. On the contrary, his original anticipation instantly disappeared and was replaced with vigilance. He looked at Lin Rei cautiously and stepped back step by step. Let me give you a piece of advice. I want that thing. So. Back off. That way, you still have a chance to live. Otherwise. Cultivation is heartless and so is the Great Way. After saying that, Jian Feng did not have the chance to speak. He turned around and walked towards a place where no one knew him. Whoosh! Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air rang in everyone's hearts. At this moment, Lin Rei, who was walking, stopped. He turned around and looked at the place where the heart of the Sky Destroyer appeared. He saw a middle-aged man who was not dressed extravagantly but gave off an unfathomable feeling. An early ultimate god. He is either an elder or a sovereign. It seems like the Talisman Sect is quite powerful. After saying that, Lin Rei was slightly happy. He did not leave but waited at the same place. He waited for the early ultimate god middle-aged man to appear. Similarly, after Lin Rei discovered the middle-aged man, other people also discovered him one after another. In the end, when the middle-aged man completely appeared in front of everyone, the crowd finally came back to their senses. He stood in the air like Lu He. However, there was one thing that was different from Lu He's eyes. Lu He's eyes were filled with peace and tranquility. However, the middle-aged man's eyes were filled with disdain, contempt and disdain. Seeing the middle-aged man's reaction, Lin Rei was stunned. His face turned gloomy and his heart was filled with displeasure. *CK, if it wasn't for the fact that I have something important to deal with, I would have killed you with a slap. Do you think you have the right to look down on me? Of course, that was only his imagination. His rationality was not swallowed by his displeasure. Therefore, no matter how displeased he was, his expression remained the same. At the same time, the surrounding people also had the same feelings as Lin Rei. They were filled with displeasure toward the middle-aged man. However, the ladies thought about it and did not show it. After all, they were at a higher rank and it was not good for them to make things awkward. This Xuanfeng is the Talisman Sect's sovereign. It is our Talisman Sect's honor to have his cultivation returned to our sect. Therefore, she is the only one who said the polite words. Next, I will introduce the rules and events of the competition to everyone. After saying that, Xuanfeng's voice became louder. It even contained a trace of his early ultimate god source energy. He was curious as if he was afraid the crowd would not be able to hear him. I believe everyone has already seen that a heavenly treasure has appeared in our sect. Therefore, it is considered an imparting of scriptures. The original entrance examination has been cancelled and replaced with another one. After saying that, Xuanfeng pointed at the golden pillar behind the heavenly treasure and said, that is the main point of the sect's entrance examination. The first stage is also the golden pillar. After saying that, Xuanfeng repeated the words the old man had said to him without missing a single word. The first stage is the great chaotic battle. Whoever is able to walk within 100 meters of the golden pillar will pass. If he is able to walk within 50 meters of the golden pillar, he will not need to participate in the later stages of the competition. He will directly advance and become a member of the Talisman Sect. Of course, if someone is able to walk within 10 meters of the golden pillar, his treatment will be doubled. Not only will he not need to participate in the competition, his status will also rise again and he will immediately become a core disciple of the sect. What? Such a good thing? At that moment, after hearing that the rewards for the first stage were all like that, everyone present had an expression of disbelief. After all, in their opinion, the same sect competition would be very easy. However, they had underestimated the strength of the golden pillar and overestimated their own strength. Of course. Seeing everyone's excited and emotional appearance, Xuanfeng's expression couldn't help but become cold. He continued, of course, there will be casualties in the great chaotic battle. On the way to the golden pillar, I have specially set up an ancient battlefield. It can hold so many people inside. Of course, life and death are determined by fate. This time, whoever is able to come out will be the strongest. Hiss, at that moment, everyone couldn't help but sigh. They didn't expect the first stage of the examination to be so exposed. When they thought of their children, they felt a headache in their hearts. There were even some people who started to feel sorry for their children as they wondered if they would be bullied. In the second stage of the taming battle, the top 20 can enter and subdue them. The heavenly treasure will be obtained by those who are fated. There is no need to force it. The third stage is even simpler. After obtaining the heavenly treasure, you will be on the stage and be attacked by the top 20 cultivators one after another. You can fight back as long as you have the ability to. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. How was this a test? This was clearly a battle between a human and a demonic beast. How can it be like this? You can't. You can't. I don't want to cultivate anymore. Let's go. Son, let's go home. Yeah, let's go home. After all, this isn't a place where we can stay. Let's just leave. Otherwise, we'll lose our lives. Yeah. Son, let's leave quickly. If there was a first, there would be a second. At that moment, everyone was hesitant. Facing such a cruel rule, everyone was shocked. In the past, everyone understood that the talisman sect was different this time. Moreover, the person on the sect master's position had also changed. Everyone didn't understand why. At that moment, what they cared about the most was their son's safety. Chapter 853. Xuanfeng naturally heard the endless discussions below, but he did not stop them. Instead, a look of disdain appeared on his face. This was because in his eyes, these people merely wanted to rely on his talisman sect to become the power behind their sects and clans. Xuanfeng naturally did not respect this. Instead, he became even more unscrupulous because of this. Initially, he knew how to restrain himself, but later on, he could no longer control himself and simply did not care anymore. Heh, little thing. Wait until I become the master of the talisman sect. See how I'll play with you. Now, I'll let you enjoy your last days here. It would be a lie to say that the crowd was not angry when they saw Xuanfeng's actions and his expression. Of course, they could not go out now. Lin Rei was also very helpless about this. The mission issued by the system did not allow him to use other forces. He had to become the master of the talisman sect by himself and could not rely too much on his martial strength. This made Lin Rei feel very helpless. There was no other way. Time passed by slowly. The discussions gradually came to an end and the place gradually quietened down. Lin Rei was happy to hear this. He finally did not have to listen to some people's chatter. After a while, the place finally became completely quiet. At the moment when the place became quiet, a ray of morning light appeared and illuminated the boundless divine region of the God world. Squeak, 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 the sky was bright and the sound of birds lingered in their ears. Coupled with the dense fragrance of flowers on the mountain, when they sensed this at this moment, their spirits were lifted and a relaxed smile appeared on their faces. Lin Rei's originally relaxed heart became even more relaxed at this moment. Some of the hidden troubles in his heart were completely thrown to the back of his mind at this moment. However, when Lin Rei felt that his body was completely in the air and his heart was at peace, a strange feeling spread throughout his body like an electric current. Lin Rei was stunned by this. What's going on? Why do I feel that my state of mind and cultivation have improved a lot at this moment? Moreover, I can even feel the barrier to the late stage of the Supreme God realm. Although it's just a little. His expression was filled with disbelief, and this feeling came all of a sudden, without any warning at all. Alas! A sudden sigh entered Lin Rei's ears. Lin Rei froze on the spot with a blank expression on his face. His mind jolted as he entered the system. At this moment, the little dragon was standing in the distance in a space within the system, looking at Lin Rei with a guilty expression. You don't have to make a fuss. It's normal for you to break through your realm and cultivation. Hearing this, Lin Rei looked over with a puzzled expression. He didn't quite understand the little dragon's words. Seeing Lin Rei's confusion, the little dragon explained, "You've killed far too many people ever since you started cultivating. When you kill people, you'll generate killing intent. After such a long time, the killing intent in your body has condensed to an extremely terrifying level. However, it's also because you haven't properly restrained and refined this killing intent that it's been extremely difficult for you to break through to your current level of cultivation. As a result, your current breakthrough is much slower than others." What? Then what do I do? Hearing the little dragon's explanation, Lin Rei's expression darkened. He didn't expect this to be the reason. At this moment, Lin Rei seemed to understand a little why he needed to break through to the next level of cultivation. Now it seemed that it was because he had unintentionally cast aside all burdens temporarily. There's a way. The little dragon answered all of Lin Rei's questions. Just like you did just now, enter a state that ordinary people can't be any more ordinary. Let yourself completely empty and throw away all burdens first. I believe that in this state, it won't take long for the killing intent to be refined and restrained. When that time comes, the breakthrough will naturally come naturally. Really? Hearing this, Linley was puzzled. He asked. Yes, really. In disbelief, the little dragon nodded solemnly. All right. He didn't refute. He believed the little dragon's words. After all, the little dragon had saved him many times. The two of them were like teacher, friend, and family. I understand. When this matter is over, I'll deal with the killing intent in my body. When that time comes, I should be able to live a peaceful life. In an instant, the originally bitter face revealed a trace of a smile. Hee, that's right. Why do you have to work so hard every day? Right? Looking at the little dragon, Lin Rei rolled his eyes. As the saying goes, if you don't manage the household, you won't know the cost of daily necessities. At this moment, Lin Rei felt that this sentence was very accurate. All right, hurry up and leave. The first competition outside seems to be starting soon. When that time comes, do your best to obtain that banished immortal brush. Yes, understood. Saying that, he waved his hand at the little dragon and left the space. However, the moment he left, Xuanfeng's voice filled with disdain and coldness entered his ears. All right, since the sky is already bright, let's begin. What? We're starting right now? Yeah, how are we supposed to start? At this moment, everyone was stunned when they heard Xuanfeng, and then they swept the surroundings with their gazes before their faces instantly darkened, and they started to refute. Starting from here, do you see where the golden light is? All of you decide the path yourselves. So long as you arrive before the golden light, then all of you can become disciples of the sect according to the rules of the Grand Tao. As he spoke, a strange smile appeared on Xuanfeng's face. Of course, it's a chaotic battle, so it's naturally not so easy to pass through. On your path, there will be your future senior brothers and senior sisters that will spar with all of you. The victor of the spar can pass through, and as for the loser, I don't have that, and I'll do my best. Oh, I forgot to tell all of you that all of you can obstruct each other earlier. In this chaotic battle, life and death don't matter. Bang! Everyone present was stunned by his explanation. These rules were too cruel, and life and death didn't matter. Moreover, there were even disciples of the Talisman sect setting up ambushes along the way. This caused some of them to feel a wave of displeasure and worry in their hearts. Of course, if you're afraid now, then all of you can withdraw. If you're not afraid, then let's begin. The time limit is 1 day, and the end will be at sunset. Those who don't arrive before sunset will automatically forfeit. As he spoke, Xuanfeng looked at the furious expressions and faces of the people below and sneered, Now, let's begin. I believe that some of you will be able to become disciples of my talisman sect. Swoosh, after he finished speaking, he didn't wait for anyone to refute or reply before he turned around and transformed into a ray of light that instantly disappeared on the spot, and charged towards the depths of the talisman sect. Fuck, he's leaving just like that? Everyone was stunned as they watched Xuanfeng's figure disappear into the distance, and then they started to complain to Xuanfeng without hiding anything. Alas, alright, stop complaining. Since it's already like this, what else can we do? Don't participate? Then what's the point of coming here? Yeah, I don't believe that the disciples of the Talisman sect are that amazing. At any rate, I'm the son of a city's governor. I don't believe that the disciples of the Talisman sect are that amazing. Alright, since that's the case, then let's, swoosh, a black figure instantly flashed past, and everyone reacted. When they looked over, they saw a white-clothed young man holding a 3-foot-long cold sword in his hand. His eyebrows were dashing like swords, and his expression was cold. His speed was as fast as lightning as he charged towards the golden light. Fuck, who is that? Everyone was shocked when the young man left, and their originally calm hearts began to stir. However, among the crowd, perhaps only Lin Ray knew who the person who had just left was. Lin Ray frowned as he looked in the direction the young man left, and an interesting smile appeared on his face. Heh, it seems like I have to be a little more serious. I didn't expect that kid's footwork to be so powerful. Thinking of this, he smiled and shook his head. He ignored the crowd, and lifted his foot. Every step he took covered 100 meters, and he instantly disappeared before everyone's eyes. Although Lin Ray had suppressed his speed to the minimum, it was still not something that the crowd could compare with. Although Lin Ray had not used his cultivation at that moment, Lin Ray's physical body alone was comparable to a peak ultimate god or even a half-saint expert. Even if Lin Ray had suppressed his physical body, the crowd still could not compare with his half-saint physical body. Lin Ray left quietly. No one knew how Lin Ray left, and no one saw Lin Ray's figure clearly. When the crowd saw the white-clothed young man leave, they could no longer wait and began to move. Although they knew that there was a bottom line in front of them, when they thought of the natural treasures in the golden light, their originally worried hearts were extinguished by their desire. Damn it, let's go. After all, we are here to enter the Talisman Grandmaster. Now that we are here, how can we retreat in the face of difficulties? Alright, hahaha. Since that's the case, why don't we travel together? At this point, we can even help each other. Who knows, our chances of entering the Talisman Grandmaster will be much higher. Hee, coincidentally, this is what we are thinking. The thoughts of these few people were understood by the surrounding crowd. At that moment, the crowd began to move and form alliances. There were groups of 2 people, 10 people and even 20 people. There was no upper limit. Time passed by very quickly. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed. Everyone was preparing to form an alliance. After that, they moved and rushed towards the depths of the Talisman Grandmaster. Hee, it seems that there will be quite a number of disciples recruited this time. Furthermore, I saw a girl just now. Her cultivation is at the late-stage God Emperor realm. It seems this time, TSK, that's right. But why do I keep having a bad premonition in my heart? I feel that something is amiss. Who cares? Since we are already here, we should hurry up and explore. This way, when we leave or something happens, the sect will not fall into desolation due to a lack of talented disciples. That's right. At this moment, the 4 old men who were 10,000 meters above the sky watched as the groups of participants left. They felt excited in their hearts. Alright, let's hurry up. I still want to see if I can find a suitable disciple. Hee, you old geezer, TSK, I never expected that there would be such a beautiful scene within the Talisman Sect. Could it be a paradise? Within the Talisman Sect, there was a small mountain path. After leaving the Talisman Sect's entrance, Lin Ray walked at a moderate pace. However, after arriving at this place, the scenery attracted Lin Ray's attention. There were not many places that could attract his attention, but this place had attracted his attention. The mountains and rivers were connected, and there were flowers and grass. However, what attracted Lin Ray's attention was not these, but the small wooden house beside a stream. The scene and the existence of the small wooden house made Lin Ray's heart, which had been slightly stirred, calm down the moment he saw the scene in front of him. Is this the feeling? Lin Ray muttered to himself as he felt his cultivation slowly increasing. TSK, it seems that I have to end this matter quickly. Otherwise, I won't have much hope of breaking through to the sage realm within 500 years. As he thought about it, his originally calm heart stirred again. His heart tightened, and he forced himself to walk out of that state of mind. A self-mocking smile appeared on his face. Then, he turned his head and no longer looked at it. He lifted his foot and was about to leave this place that had brought him peace and tranquility. However, things were often not as they seemed to be. Oh, is this the new disciple who came to the Talisman Sect to participate this time? TSK, I didn't expect you to only be at the True God realm. What a pity. A voice suddenly sounded. Lin Rei's body paused. His face was ice cold as he turned his head to look. At this moment, a young man wearing a red long robe was walking on the path ahead. There was a talisman character carved on his chest. When Lin Rei saw this, he instantly knew that this was the senior disciple that Sun Feng had mentioned. His purpose was to create trouble for the new disciples, and even to kill them. Are you trying to stop me? He didn't look at the Talisman Sect disciple. His gaze was fixed on the wooden house at the side of the lake. Because in his eyes, the young man was far inferior to the wooden house. You. The young man was furious when he saw Lin Rei's actions. He never imagined that not only was there no respect in the words of a new disciple, Lin Rei didn't even look at him when he spoke. This caused the young man to feel embarrassed and furious. He never imagined that a new disciple would actually look down on him like this. However, a wave of annoyance surged into Lin Rei's heart when he saw the young man's actions. What exactly do you want? If you want to make a move, then please do so quickly. If you don't want to make a move, then quickly come over. Don't block my path. As the saying goes, a good dog doesn't block the path. Could it be that you have to speak so much nonsense every time you fight an enemy? Fuck. Who's the senior disciple and who's the new disciple? The Talisman Sect disciple was stunned when he heard Lin Rei, and his face turned pale. Why aren't you making a move? When he saw that the Talisman Sect disciple had no intention of making a move, Lin Rei was momentarily stunned. Soon after, he didn't want to wait any longer. Alright, since you're not going to make a move, then I'll end it. What? The Talisman Sect disciple was stunned when he heard these words. While he still didn't know what was going on, a black figure flashed before his eyes. He felt a pain in his chest and his entire body was involuntarily sent flying backwards. Everything happened so quickly that the Talisman Sect disciple didn't even have time to react before he discovered that he was already in the air. Pfft! A mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. His face instantly turned deathly pale, and his face was filled with disbelief. How is this possible? A new disciple at the True God stage, why is he so powerful? Chapter 854. With a plop, the Talisman Sect disciple fell miserably on the ground. His face was deathly pale and bloodless while his eyes were filled with extreme fear. He had never expected to be caught by Jianghu, who had been playing with eagles all year round. He also did not expect that a true god cultivator would be able to send him flying with a single palm strike. Furthermore, the instant he sensed the severity of his injuries, he knew that he would not be able to recover for at least a year even if he were to consume healing pills. His internal organs had been displaced by a single palm strike and 6 of his ribs had been broken. In fact, one of his ribs had even penetrated his lungs. Waves of pain came from the inside of his upper body, and his vision gradually became blurry. However, at this moment, he knew that he did not dare to faint without the permission of the person in front of him. This was because of Lin Rei's murderous gaze and the murderous aura that was being emitted from his body without any restraint. At this moment, when he looked at Lin Rei, he no longer saw the elegant young man he used to be. Instead, he saw a god of death. Lin Rei's smile was like the god of death waving at him, causing his hair to stand on end and his heart to tremble in fear. Pfft! His chest and abdomen trembled. Unable to endure any longer, a warm current spurted out from his mouth. Cough, cough. As he coughed, he looked at Lin Rei, who was like a god of death. He wanted to beg for mercy, but at this moment, he realized that his fatty was in so much pain that he could not speak. At this moment, he became anxious. After that, he began to groan and mumble something. However, Lin Rei knew very well that he wanted to beg for mercy. However, Lin Rei would let him off. After all, he had done something that no one would dare to do to him. Ha, brat, you are the one who is courting death. I already told you to get lost but you refused. Who can you blame for this? As the saying goes, one can survive a heavenly disaster but one cannot survive a self-inflicted disaster. I believe that you understand this logic. When he saw the miserable appearance of the talisman sect disciple, Lin Rei smiled faintly. Then, he took a step forward and arrived beside him in an instant. He felt a wave of disdain in his heart. Ah. Ah. Heh, rest. If you want to recover your voice, I'm afraid no one in this world can help you. Of course, this is also your punishment. With a look of disdain on his face, he turned around and prepared to leave. Oh, right. As if having thought of something, Zhang Xian didn't turn around. Instead, a voice sounded in his mind, in the future, before you fight with others, remember not to speak too much nonsense. Let me teach you a philosophy. Lin Rei said with a serious face, if you can fight, try not to force it. Ugh, pfff, she did not have the chance to look at the talisman grandmaster's stunned expression as he vomited blood. Then, she smiled and left this place. Even though the battle earlier had only lasted for an instant, the talisman grandmaster's cultivation had already been released. Therefore, there was no guarantee that no one else would come. In Lin Rei's eyes, those people were nothing more than ants. However, the current him did not wish to meet them so early. He still wanted to play. Just as Lin Rei had expected, not long after he left, a few figures instantly streaked across the sky. After which, they landed beside the talisman grandmaster's disciple who was lying on the ground with his face covered in blood. Gasp. Who did this? It's so spicy. At this moment, when the young man who was the leader saw that his fellow disciples had been humiliated to such an extent, the anger in his heart instantly soared to a new height. Ugh. However, when the few lackeys who followed closely behind the young man saw their boss in such a state, they immediately rolled their eyes and said, "Boss, didn't you see this person's appearance?" "Oh. What are you trying to say?" When the young man heard what his lackey said, he suddenly raised his eyebrows. His expression was slightly unfriendly. This person's name is Biyao. He is ranked in the top 15 of the inner sect wind ranking. Look at the wounds on his body. This was clearly done with a single move. Think about it, can we keep such a person alive? Upon hearing these words, the young man who was the leader was stunned. His originally firm heart to seek justice had been shaken. He was shaken and did not know how to deal with this matter. Cough cough. Suddenly, a violent coughing sound was heard, waking up the cold and dark people present. You're awake? Looking at Biyao, the young man spoke. His face was filled with sympathy, causing Biyao to be startled. Of course, it was only for a moment. Biyao came back to his senses and immediately said, "Yes, may I know who you are?" He did not speak with his mouth, but instead used his divine sense to communicate. After all, his throat had been specially taken care of by Lin Rei, so... Looking at Biyao, the young man was stunned for a moment before coming back to his senses. He flicked his hair and immediately said, "I am Lu Zhongtian, ranked 45th on the inner sect wind ranking. Just now, I felt a violent fluctuation of cultivation here, so..." Hearing this, Biyao was stunned for a moment before understanding. However, because of Lu Zhongtian's words, Biyao could not help but recall the scene of him being sent flying with a single palm strike. Even now, Bayan's heart still palpitated. This feeling seemed to be engraved in his mind and could not be removed. No matter how hard he tried, he could not chase it away. For a moment, Biyao was stunned. His expression was filled with fear and his body involuntarily trembled at this moment. What's wrong with you? Sensing Bayan's abnormality, Lu Zhongtian was stunned and asked with a puzzled expression. Hearing Lu Zhongtian's words, Biyao was stunned. Then, with a trembling voice, he dissuaded Lu Zhongtian, Don't delve into it. Don't ask any more. This matter is too terrifying. Don't ask any more. Just pretend this matter never happened. Bai Yun could not summon the slightest bit of hatred towards Lin Rei. It was not that he did not want to, but that he did not dare. The instant he was sent flying by Lin Rei's palm strike, not only did it destroy Bai Yun's confidence, it also destroyed Bai Yun's spirit. He could not bring himself to hate Lin Rei. The only thing he felt was fear, endless and endless fear. Damn, what's going on? You've become like this, so. Although Lu Zhongtian said that, he was shocked when he saw Bai Yun's state. Bai Yun was an expert ranked in the top 10 of the wind ranking. But now, his eyes were filled with fear and his body was trembling. It was as if he had experienced some inhumane torture. However, if Lu Zhongtian knew that Bai Yun's current state was caused by a single palm strike, he might not believe it and laugh out loud. He might even say that Bai Yun was joking. Of course, this was the case for most of the people. They did not believe that a true God Realm cultivator could turn an expert in the Divine Guard Realm into such a state with a single palm strike. The wind ranking was created by the Talisman Sect for the purpose of training their disciples. Of course, if they were ranked in the top 10, they would receive a huge amount of resources. However, the wind ranking was the weakest ranking in the Talisman Sect. Above the wind ranking, there was the cloud ranking. Above the cloud ranking, there was the star ranking. Above the star ranking, there was the supreme ranking. Of course, these rankings would be promoted as one's level increased. Just like the supreme ranking, one would become an elder of the sect after becoming a supreme ranking. Most of the supreme ranking experts would be at the middle stage God Emperor realm. As for the cloud ranking and star ranking, they corresponded to the Divine Emperor realm, Divine Sect and Divine Monarch realm respectively. Of course, the number of people on these rankings would decrease according to the ranking strength. After all, the rarer something was, the more valuable it was. Furthermore, cultivation could not be achieved overnight. However, at this moment, Linley had no idea that it was because of him that White Cloud had fallen silent under his tyrannical power, not daring to do anything that went against its conscience. This was because he was afraid. He was afraid mentally and from the bottom of his soul. He was extremely afraid. However, at this moment, Lin Rei, who was the person in question, returned to his leisurely manner. It was just that he deliberately increased his speed so that he would not be left too far behind by the crowd. Ah, it seems like the grade of the disciples recruited by the Talisman Sect has increased by quite a bit this time. Who would have thought that the number of newcomers among the 50,000 would be reduced to 20,000 at this moment? The remaining tens of thousands were nowhere to be found. Of course, these were not important to him. As for the golden light, Lin Rei was even less anxious. After all, it would eventually become a secret treasure in his hands. Thinking of this, Lin Rei could not help but smile. However, to the crowd, this smile was not as comfortable as his previous expressionless face. Bastard, you bunch of beasts. I have treated you well in the past. Who would have thought that you would repay my kindness with enmity? You want to kill me? Do you think you can kill me? At this moment, Lin Rei, who was awakened by this voice, came back to his senses. He turned around with an excited look on his face. It was as if this voice was very interesting to him. At this moment, on a hill not far away, a group of people were surrounding a young man who was wearing tattered clothes. His hair was disheveled and his clothes had been washed until they were white. However, to everyone's surprise, the young man who was lying on the ground had a stubborn expression on his face. He looked at the group of people who were bullying him with a determined expression on his face. He gritted his teeth and said, You can't do this. When Maizhua clan was still around, I gave you everything you wanted. I provided you with an enormous amount of cultivation resources. Originally, I would not have allowed you to become a guest of Maizhua clan based on your resources. However, when Maizhua clan was about to fall, you actually colluded with that group of bastards. Now, you even want to kill me. Are you really that heartless? Are you really going to die just like that? His words were filled with endless unwillingness. It was as if this was not what he had expected. It was as if he still had some unfinished business. Ah, Yerzhua clan? However, at this moment, the leader of the group of young men standing in front of the young man from the Zhou clan revealed a cold expression when he saw this. His expression was filled with disdain. Zhou clan? What's the Zhou clan? Even your Zhou clan is not a match for that lord. So, surrender. After saying that, the young man gave up talking. There were some secrets that no one could know. Hurry up and give me your Zhou clan's heirloom glazed golden tile. Then, I will go back and beg that lord. Perhaps your life will, bullshit. Suddenly, the young man from the Zhou clan shouted angrily. He looked nervous and angry. Ah, interesting. At this moment, at a place where no one was looking, Lin Rei was watching the quarrel in front of him. With a thought, he took out a jar of fruit wine that he had stocked up before and drank it. Gulp, gulp, gulp. The sound echoed in the surroundings. However, those people's attention was not on him. Therefore, no one heard the strange sound at all. Since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, brothers, let's go. Remember what his fiancée looks like. When the time comes, he. At this moment, the leader of the group revealed a sinister smile. When the others heard this, their faces turned sinister. I will fight it out with you. At this moment, even an idiot would know what they wanted to do after hearing what they said. The young man from the Zhou clan felt guilty towards his fiancée. But now, he wanted to drag her down because of him. For a moment, he didn't know where the energy came from, but a ruthless feeling surged in his heart. An indescribable power instantly spread through his body. Then, he took out a short sword from somewhere and stepped forward to stab the leader of the group. In the distance, Lin Rei saw this scene and sighed slightly. He shook his head and said, "Alas, it's like hitting a stone with an egg. Your cultivation is not high enough, but now you still want to fight. Refining is so stingy, get lost. You're just an ant. Do you think you're still Yun De Qian from the Zhou clan?" Pa! A crisp sound spread in the air. The young man in the lead was startled when he saw the young man from the Zhou clan. However, he quickly regained his composure and used his cultivation to slap the young man's face. The young man from the Zhou clan was sent flying backwards without any resistance. Puff! In the air, the young man from the Zhou clan spat out a mouthful of scarlet blood. His face was extremely pale. He wasn't as powerful as the leader. Now that the leader had used all his strength, how could the young man from the Zhou clan be any better? Alas, this is really, ding. Discovered a person with the highest grade thunder spiritual root. Recommended to subdue him. Ding. Recommended to the host to accept him as a disciple of the sect and use all his strength to help him take revenge. What? When he heard the system's notification, Linley was stunned. This was something that he had never thought of. Furthermore, according to him, it had been a long time since the system had reminded him of his innate talent. Ah, kid, you're so lucky. I didn't expect to meet a cultivator with the highest grade thunder spiritual root here. TSK. Hearing the little dragon's TSK, Lin Rei didn't say anything. Because he knew that the little dragon hadn't finished speaking. However, the system said that the cultivator with the thunder spiritual root is in danger and is about to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Damn, don't tell me that the person with the highest grade thunder spiritual root that the system mentioned is the young man from the Zhou clan? At this moment, hearing the characteristics mentioned by the little dragon and the fact that there weren't many people around, Lin Rei accurately thought of the young man from the Zhou clan who was sent flying. However, things that you didn't think about were the truth. Sure enough, after hearing Lin Rei's guess, the little dragon laughed. Yes, that's right. It's that kid. Chapter 855. At this moment, after receiving the little dragon's final confirmation, Lin Rei didn't want to say anything more. He originally wanted to sit back and watch the show, but he didn't expect the system to suddenly make such a move. Now, even if he didn't want to, he had to do it. But, as if he thought of something, the corner of his mouth curved into a smile. If I can nurture this thunder spirit root, he might become a sharp blade by my side. But, if he's obedient, then it's fine. If he's not obedient and turns against his master, then, although he thought of the importance of the Thunder Spirit root, compared to the Thunder Spirit root, Lin Rei cared more about the character and humanity of the person. He didn't want to see this scene in the immortal world. He couldn't bear it, and he didn't dare to bear it. He was afraid, so, should I save? Or... Understanding Lin Rei's thoughts, the little dragon didn't force Lin Rei to subdue him. After all, because of that incident, Lin Rei was depressed for a period of time, and at the same time, he went crazy. This was something the little dragon didn't want to see. No matter if it was because of the system or because of Lin Rei, he didn't want to see that scene happen again. At this moment, Lin Rei was silent. He didn't know what choice he should make. Faced with this choice, bang! A group of people surrounded the young man from the Zhua family in the distance, punching and kicking him. Every one of them had a fierce look on their faces, and as time went on, the strength of their punches became heavier and heavier. In the end, the young man from the Zhua family was in so much pain that he fell silent. He wanted to say something. But he didn't know how to say it. At this moment, he was in so much pain that he couldn't feel anything. He couldn't feel what pain was anymore. But the only thing he could feel was the muffled sounds that came from the side of his ears. He lowered his head, and his eyes were filled with ferocity. His murderous aura grew stronger and stronger as he cultivated. He hated himself for being useless. He hated himself for not being able to protect his family. He hated himself for being such a playboy in the past. He hated himself, but he hated this world even more. Fresh blood flowed out from every part of the Zhua youth's body, staining the ground beneath him. Blood continued to flow out of his mouth, and his face was deathly pale. His body trembled uncontrollably, and the scene was extremely tragic. Even so, the group of people didn't seem to have the slightest intention of stopping. Moreover, they kept clapping and cheering as they punched and kicked the youth from the Zhua family. Brat, have you thought it through? Top-grade Thunder Spiritual Root. This spiritual root is very rare. It is not like the 5 elements spiritual roots that can be found everywhere. Moreover, not everyone is like you. As your strength increases, you will have all the spiritual roots. This kind of spiritual root is rarely seen in a million years. You should be clear about its importance. At this moment, the little dragon couldn't help but speak. However, the premise that he did all this was for Lin Rei's sake. Because he knew how powerful the Thunder Spiritual Root was, and he also knew how much help it could provide to Lin Rei. Hearing the little dragon's words, Lin Rei was stunned. His originally hurried eyes cleared up a little. He raised his head and looked at the youth from the Zhua family who was almost dying from the beating. Lin Rei was stunned. He could feel that the youth from the Zhua family's vitality was increasing rapidly. If he didn't do anything now, he was afraid that the youth would die in less than a minute. Whether you do anything or not is up to you. Looking at Lin Rei, the little dragon spoke again. Then, he fell into complete silence and didn't say anything else. Half a minute later, his originally confused eyes finally cleared up, and a hint of determination appeared in his pupils. With a smile on his face, he looked at the youth from the Zhua family with a determined gaze and said through his consciousness, "Brat, I can save you, and I can even give you the power you want. I can let you take revenge and submit to me. Do you agree?" There was no beating around the bush. From Lin Rei's point of view, only the youth's Thunder Spiritual Root was of value to him. Of course, now there was an additional point, and that was the youth's willpower. "You. Who are you?" At that moment, the young man from the Zhua clan, who was lying on the ground and being punched and kicked by others, shuddered violently when he heard Lin Li's voice. His eyes, which had been filled with despair and even filled with an aura of death, gained a faint and barely detectable hint of hope when he heard the voice in his head. Yes, at this moment, there was a trace of hope, a trace of determination, and a trace of stubbornness in the youth from the Zhua family. But at the same time, he also knew that the price he had to pay for this was something he couldn't imagine. Because, he didn't believe that there would be such a good thing in this world. Moreover, it just so happened to fall on his head. The probability of such a thing happening was very small. It was so small that a supreme god cultivator would choke to death while drinking water, choke to death while eating, or be smashed to death by a flower pot outside. Heh. Hearing the youth's question, Lin Rei smiled and didn't hide anything. He introduced himself. I am Lin Rei, the sect master of the Xuanzong sect. I know what you are thinking, but you can rest assured that what you are thinking will not happen. Of course, what you need to do is to cultivate and become stronger. So strong that other than me, everyone else will submit to you. You only need to do this. That's all? The youth from the Zhua family was stunned when he heard that. His heart was filled with indescribable doubts. At this moment, after hearing Lin Rei's promise, his previous assumptions were all shattered. He realized that there really was such a good thing in this world, and it happened to him. That's all. Do you agree? If you agree, I will do it. If you don't, I will leave now. Without any hesitation, the youth from the Zhua family immediately said, I agree. The moment Lin Rei said yes, the youth from the Zhua family immediately agreed. Good. Lin Li liked the young man's decisiveness very much. He didn't waste any more time and immediately unleashed his cultivation. His mid-stage hierarch cultivation base was instantly activated. He raised his hand and pointed it at the young man from the Zhua clan. Suddenly, everyone who was punching and kicking the young man froze on the spot. It was as if someone had cast a body freezing technique on them. They didn't move an inch, but their actions were as if they were about to hit someone. Looking at the youth from the Zhua family, Lin Rei smiled. His figure flashed and appeared beside the youth in an instant. He reached out and helped the youth up. Release. Looking at the motionless youth, Lin Rei raised his hand and activated his cultivation base. He pointed at the youth's head and said, Release. Suddenly, the youth from the Zhua family recovered. However, because of the broken bones in his body, the moment the immobilizing technique was released, the youth from the Zhua family collapsed on the ground. However, looking at the people around him who were immobilized, the youth's heart trembled and his face was filled with shock. He didn't expect the person in front of him to be so powerful. He didn't even see him make a move, but he and the others were all immobilized on the spot. He had never seen such a technique before, not even when the Zhua family was still around. At this moment, he saw hope. The hope of revenge, the hope of regaining his dignity, and winning back everything that he had lost. Lifting his unconscious head with difficulty, the youth from the Zhua family stared at Lin Rei in front of him. His eyes were filled with gratitude and respect. Thank you for saving me. From now on, Zhua Qing's life is yours. If you tell me to go east, I won't go west. If you tell me to kill a chicken, I won't kill a dog. Your orders are my. Listening to Zhua Qing's incessant chatter, Lin Li couldn't help but think of Lu Yuanqi. Suddenly, he began to regret making a move and leaving behind this chatterbox. Alright, you're injured. Don't talk so much nonsense. In the end, Lin Rei couldn't help but stop him. Because if he didn't stop him, he didn't know how long Zhua Qing would continue talking. More importantly, Lin Rei had to treat his injuries. Otherwise, with his current state, he would die soon. Yes. Hearing Lin Rei's words, Zhua Qing obediently shut his mouth. Perhaps because his injuries were too serious, his neck couldn't support it. In the end, he collapsed to the ground before his head could recover. Oh, you can still talk so much in this state. You're really something. Saying that, he shook his head with a wry smile. Then, he squatted down and searched for healing medicine in his space storage ring. Given Zhua Qing's current condition, it wouldn't work if the medicine was too strong. However, if it was too soft and weak, it wouldn't work either. This stumped Lin Rei. More importantly, there were so many pills in the space storage ring that he really didn't know what to use. Suddenly, Lin Rei, who was searching, narrowed his eyes. A glint flashed in his eyes. In the blink of an eye, a smile appeared on his gloomy face. Fortunately, withdrawing his divine sense, a purple jade bottle appeared in his hand. The words, Emperor-level heavenly spirit, were written on the jade bottle. Hee, fortunately, I refined a bottle of Emperor-level heavenly spirit pills. Otherwise, it would be difficult to deal with now. Looking at the pill bottle in his hand, Lin Rei's heart was filled with warmth. This heavenly spirit was created by him, and he had comprehended it when he released the recall style. This kind of medicinal pill did not have the effect of increasing one's cultivation base, nor did it have the effect of stabilizing one's soul. For cultivators, it was of little value. However, this disciple's strength was that it could heal injuries without any side effects. What was even more amazing was that this medicinal pill belonged to a state between hard and soft, which was the perfect state. Therefore, when he saw this pill bottle, Lin Rei knew that the pill to heal Wuxia was him. Other than him, there was no other choice. Of course, there were 3,000 great Daos. The world was full of wonders. It was impossible to say that there weren't any. He poured out a red pill the size of a fingernail. Without waiting for Wuxia's puzzled look, he flicked his finger. A red light instantly streaked across the sky and rushed into Wuxia's mouth. Boom! The moment he felt something enter his mouth, a warm current instantly exploded in his abdomen. At first, he couldn't stand the high heat, but this feeling only lasted for a moment. After the heat passed, it turned into a boundless medicinal power. It began to spread throughout his limbs and bones, and everything in his body began to recover. Hiss. This. Feeling the strange feeling in his body, Wuxia checked. He didn't know if he didn't check, but when he checked, he was shocked. When he saw that some of the broken bones in his body had healed, he sucked in a breath of cold air. His face was full of disbelief. How is this possible? He couldn't believe what was happening in his body. That's enough. Don't you feel embarrassed? At this time, Lin Rei, who was squatting at the side, saw Wuxia's expression change. He covered his face for a moment, as if he didn't want to know him. This is you. He came back to his senses and looked at Lin Rei. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly remembered the pill bottle from before. For a moment, the matter of his body recovering made sense. I can't thank you enough. Your kindness, I will repay it with my life when I return to the sect. Without wasting any time, he closed his eyes and began to feel his body recovering. Looks like I made the right bet this time. Lin Li saw the respect in Wuxia's eyes. Towards this, his heart, which had been filled with worry, relaxed considerably. At this time, just as Lin Rei was admiring him, the little dragon's voice suddenly sounded, indeed, this kid's character is really good. Looking at the illusory little dragon, Lin Rei quickly smiled and joked, to come out. Nonsense. The little dragon was never restrained with Lin Rei. He directly rolled his eyes at Lin Rei. I told you before, this kid's character is even better. You just didn't believe me. Look at it now. What? Did you say that before? Looking at the little dragon, Lin Rei looked at him doubtfully. But why do I remember that you only suggested that I subdue him? You didn't say anything about his character? I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. Seeing Lin Rei so mercilessly expose him, the little dragon couldn't stay any longer. He directly found an excuse and disappeared on the spot, returning to the system. Lin Rei didn't stop him. He knew why the little dragon left. Phew! Exhaling a long breath, a trace of tiredness appeared on his face. He sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes to rest. Time passed little by little. In the blink of an eye, half a day had passed. Lin Rei sat there like this for 6 hours. During these 6 hours, many people passed by, but when it came to Wuxia and the others, everyone acted as if they didn't see them and directly ignored them. If Wuxia was awake at that time, he would probably cry out in surprise. Of course, all of this was Lin Rei's masterpiece. After he closed his eyes to rest, with a wave of his hand, a formation appeared and wrapped everyone up. And this formation didn't have any other benefits. Just like the celestial spirit, it didn't have any other function other than being able to recover. At this moment, the formation that wrapped everyone up was the same. It only had the function of concealing illusions and had no other function. Okay, I'm done. At this moment, a voice full of surprise was heard. Lin Rei, who was resting with his eyes closed, immediately left the moment he heard this business. Looking at the surprised Wuxia, Lin Rei sighed and said, "As a cultivator, the most important thing is a cultivator's peace of mind. Look at you, what do you look like now?" Chapter 856. I understand. Lin Rei's words were like a bucket of cold water that instantly extinguished the flame in his heart. There was not a trace of hope that was rekindled in his heart. At this moment, the smile on Wuxia's face instantly disappeared and was replaced by a solemn and respectful expression. He did not speak and just stood quietly in front of Lin Rei. He did not know what to do with his hands, and in the end, he simply placed them behind his back. Lin Rei was stunned when he saw Wuxia's current actions. Then, he smiled and said, "All right, it's good that you know. There is no need to be so restrained around me." Moreover, as he spoke, he looked at the few people who were frozen and continued, "Now, my identity is just the same as yours. I am just an ordinary person who is participating in the Talisman Grandmaster's recruitment. I am only a true god cultivator. Therefore, you must remember not to give yourself away in front of outsiders. Do you understand?" Understood. Although he did not know why Lin Rei was acting like this, he did not dare to reveal a trace of doubt even though he was clearly a powerful expert who was pretending to be a cultivation newbie. He nodded respectfully and said, "I will definitely remember what you have instructed me to do. Please be rest assured." "All right." Upon hearing this, Lin Rei nodded. "Since that is the case, you can call me young master like everyone else." Lin Rei liked this form of address. After all, other than this form of address, he felt a little uncomfortable being called master as someone who had lived under the obligation for 9 years. "Yes, young master. I understand." He nodded and expressed his agreement. "All right." Lin Rei was in a good mood when he saw how obedient Wuxia was. Originally, he had come here to complete the mission issued by the system. However, he did not expect that he would unintentionally discover such a powerful subordinate. Therefore, Lin Rei's trip could be said to have not been in vain. Of course, Lin Rei could clearly sense the hatred in Wuxia's heart. Lin Rei did not object to this as long as Wuxia did not threaten him. "I'll leave these people to you. It's up to you whether you want to kill them or keep them. Remember to be decisive." Lin Rei didn't even bother to look at the small fries that were frozen by him. He spoke to Wuxia and walked to the side. As for the spells on those people, Lin Rei didn't remove them. Although Wuxia's supreme grade thunder spirit root was very difficult to deal with, Lin Rei felt ashamed of Wuxia's cultivation. Thank you, young master. This subordinate will definitely repay you with my body in the future. I will be loyal to you. I will not hesitate to climb a mountain of blades or plunge into a sea of flames. My respect for you is like a torrential river, continuous and unstoppable." Stop. Lin Li frowned when he saw how Wuxia was enjoying herself. He hurriedly called for her to stop because he didn't dare to imagine if Wuxia would say something even more disgusting if he didn't stop her. If that was the case, he definitely wouldn't be able to take it. Looking at Wuxia, Lin Rei said very seriously, "Remember, when you're with me in the future, speak as little as possible. It's best if you don't speak at all. You just have to wait for my secret realm. Do you understand? This is the first order that I've given you. I believe you won't disobey it." This. Hearing this, Wuxia looked embarrassed. Even a fool would know why Lin Rei was so straightforward, so, yes, this subordinate understands. In the end, Wuxia did not dare to disobey Lin Rei's order. He finally chose to compromise and stop talking. "Good. That's very good." With Wuxia's agreement, Lin Rei finally smiled. Perhaps he was happy because Wuxia had agreed to his conditions, or perhaps he was excited because Lin Rei had obtained a top-grade thunder spiritual root. As for the details, no one knew except for Lin Rei himself. Take your time. I'll wait. Without looking back, he turned and walked away. Looking at Lin Rei's back, Wuxia's face was full of gratitude. He secretly swore that as long as it was Lin Rei's enemy, he would do everything in his power to kill them, even if the enemy's cultivation was much higher than his. Lin Rei did not know about this vow, but Wuxia really did fulfill it. In the end, he became Lin Rei's sharp blade. Once he did, blood would be shed. Staring at Lin Li's departing figure, Wuxia regained her coldness. A coldness that seemed to originate from the depths of hell could be felt. Within her eyes, a hint of killing intent flashed, without a trace. But just that trace of killing intent was enough to cause people to tremble in fear. Turning around, he looked at the people who had bullied him, punched and kicked him, and even wanted to beat him to death. He looked at the people who had once called him brothers. He looked at these ungrateful beasts. He looked at these people who had tried to divide the spoils and kill him because of the Zhou family. Wuxia's heart was filled with endless hatred and killing intent. It seems the kid's heart is filled with hatred. I guess it's time to let him vent a bit. Otherwise, well, it's not a bad thing to have such a strong killing intent. Lin Rei's divine sense had not left Wuxia's position. He could sense Wuxia's killing intent, and Lin Rei knew exactly what was going on. If that's the case, then I'll... With a thought, he caused the minions who had been beating Wuxia to move their heads and regain consciousness. However, their bodies were so weak that they didn't seem to belong to them at all. They just stood there, motionless. What's going on? Why is this happening? What the hell is going on? Who is it? Don't tell me he knows I'm the young master of the Su clan. Does he want to die? Fuck, who is it? How could he be so shameless as to sneak up on me from behind? What kind of cultivator is he? If he's got the guts, come out and fight me. There was no sound of a slap. Just as the crowd regained consciousness and realized what was going on, they began to hurl abuse at Lin Rei. However, even as they were hurling abuse at Lin Rei, a slap appeared out of nowhere and landed on his face. The sound of the slap was so loud and clear that it seemed to be filled with an intimidating power. Everyone who had been hurling abuse at Lin Rei stopped in their tracks. In the next moment, the people who were cursing all shut their mouths. Their faces were all filled with astonishment because the person they saw was none other than Wuxia, whom they had never expected to see. Everyone looked at Wuxia, their faces filled with shock and disbelief. They couldn't believe that Wuxia was the one who had been beaten half to death by them. But here came the problem. Everyone knew Wuxia's appearance very well. She was half dead and almost dead. But now, Wuxia didn't look like she was half dead at all. She was clearly a normal person who didn't have any injuries except for her pale face. She was clearly a normal person. You. Are you a human or a ghost? Why did your injuries heal in an instant? Are you Wuxia or? At this moment, the originally quiet scene was broken by the voice of someone in the field. This person was none other than the leader of a group of underlings, the so-called young master of the Su clan. He looked at Wuxia with a bewildered gaze. However, under his bewildered gaze, there was a deep sense of greed. In his opinion, the only thing that could heal his injuries in an instant was some heavenly treasure. He couldn't think of anything else. At this moment, if Wuxia knew what he was thinking, he would definitely burst out laughing. He didn't expect the Su clan to be such a fool who liked to imagine things. However, how could the current Wuxia possibly know what the young master of the Su clan was thinking? At this moment, he only wanted to take revenge. He wanted to take revenge for how they had treated him. He wanted to take revenge for not lending a helping hand to the Zhou clan when they were in trouble and instead ruthlessly stabbing the Zhou clan in the heart. He wanted to take revenge for those who had once called him brothers, but in the end, stabbed him in the back, gloated over his misfortune, and hit him when he was down. Therefore, Wuxia only had one thought about the young master of the Su clan, and that was to kill him and take revenge. Heh, what do you think? Zhuo Qing looked at the young master of the Su clan with a mocking expression. Do you think I'm a human or a ghost? You. Hearing Zhuo Qing's words, the young master of the Su clan was stunned. He immediately recovered and said with a smile, that. You, so what if I'm a human or a ghost? If the heavens don't accept me, I'm a ghost. If the ghost domain doesn't accept me, I'm a god. Right now, I'm a human, a god, a ghost, and everything in the vast 1,000 domains. At this moment, when he said these words, Zhuo Qing's body erupted with an aura that didn't lose out to his. Even Lin Rei, who was far away, felt this aura. Heh, it seems that this little fellow is quite something. I have to train him more in the future. Otherwise, it would be a pity to destroy such a good piece of material. With that, Lin Rei fell into silence. His consciousness was closely watching Zhuo Qing's next move. In this regard, Lin Rei had no intention of interfering. You. What do you want? Looking at the current Zhuo Qing, the young master of the Su clan was stunned. His heart was filled with an indescribable feeling. At this moment, he realized that he seemed to know the debauchee of the past. It seemed that the Zhuo Qing in front of him wasn't the Zhuo Qing he knew. However, the two of their faces were so shockingly similar. At this moment, the young master of the Su clan was stunned. He was completely stunned. Looking at the puzzled young master of the Su clan, Zhuo Qing suddenly smiled. His smile was very sudden and without any warning. However, the young master of the Su clan didn't feel the slightest warmth from his smile. On the contrary, he felt endless coldness. It made his hair stand on end and he felt as if he had entered an ice cave. This feeling was very unpleasant, especially for the current him. He didn't expect that this feeling would come from the person he thought was trash. What do I want? You still have the nerve to say that? Don't you know how I treated you back then? Back then, your Su clan was about to disappear. It was I. It was I who begged my father to lend a helping hand to your Su clan. But what about you? How did you repay me? At this moment, it was as if Zhuo Qing had gone mad. He roared at the young master of the Su clan, You repaid me at the cost of my Zhuo clan's annihilation. You repaid me by stabbing a bone-piercing cold knife into my heart. You repaid me at the cost of thousands of lives in my Zhuo clan. Now, you're telling me what I look like? At this moment, the young master of the Su clan was stunned on the spot after hearing Zhuo Qing's words. Their eyes were lifeless as they recalled Zhuo Qing who had helped them back then. But so what? In the face of benefits, brothers, they were meant to be betrayed. They weren't meant to share joys and sorrows, to live and die together. The moment you touched my Zhuo clan, the moment you touched my service, your life, the fate of your entire Su clan, was already sealed. Death. What? You. Hearing those words, the young master of the Su clan came back to his senses. Sensing the enormous killing intent, he was scared. It was only at this moment that he realized that he couldn't move at all. However, Zhuo Qing was different. At this moment, he was scared. He was no longer the high and mighty young Master Su from before. Die. Ignoring young Master Su, a cold, 3-foot-long sword appeared in his hand, pulsing with cold sword energy that gave people the illusion that they wouldn't dare to look directly at it. Seeing this, young Master Su's eyes went wide, and he said in disbelief, Zhuo Qing, no, Grandpa Zhuo, I beg of you, no, don't kill me. Have you forgotten that we're good brothers? Have you forgotten the happy times we had together? In order to survive, young Master Su didn't care about his own face. In the face of living, everything seemed so petty and pitiful. Beg for mercy? Brothers? Feelings? Hearing these harsh words, Zhuo Qing felt a sharp pain in his heart. It was as if thousands of knives were stabbing his heart over and over again without stopping. When the thousand Zhuo clan members begged for mercy, did you ever think about the brotherly feelings between us? After the Zhuo clan was exterminated, did you ever think about the things you did to me? Did you ever think about those pitiful brotherly feelings? When I was down and out, did you ever think about those brotherly feelings? At this moment, young Master Su was silent. If that's the case, then why should I have brotherly feelings for you? With that, Zhuo Qing took a step forward, arriving in front of young Master Su in an instant. He raised the sword in his hand and slashed at young Master Su's left ear. With a ripping sound, the sound of flesh being torn apart rang out, followed by young Master Su's blood-curdling scream. You. You're really. Could it be that you're not afraid of being hunted down by the Su clan? Could it be that you're not afraid that the Su clan? Rip. Following that, a sword light appeared, and young Master Su's right ear was separated from his body. It fell to the ground, blood spurting out, and young Master Su's blood-curdling screams continued. At this moment, Zhuo Qing was in such a state. Other than young Master Su, everyone else was stunned. Their faces were filled with shock and fear. They had never seen Zhuo Qing bathed in blood before. It was as if they didn't know him at all. At this moment, everyone looked at young Master Su's miserable appearance, and their hearts were in turmoil. They knew that the evaluation of young Master Su just now had been made by some of the people present, so fear had taken over everyone's hearts. They were afraid, and they regretted it. They. Chapter 857. What should I do? I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I still have a lot of things to do. I still have parents who didn't die a good death. No, I can't. I can't die here. I still have a great time ahead of me. I still have, don't. Grandpa Zhua, oh no, ancestor, don't kill me. I still have a lot of things waiting for me. I don't want to die. I beg you, please don't do this. I will atone for my sins. Yes. I will atone for my sins. I will atone for my sins, okay? From now on, you are the master of all of us. From now on, we will obey your orders. We will not dare to neglect you. If we neglect you, we will die a horrible death. Oh, is that so? Hearing such a vicious oath, even though it sounded very loyal, if one were to look carefully, one would be able to detect a trace of viciousness in the eyes of the person making the oath. Even though it was only for an instant, even though it was hidden very deeply, Zhuo Qing was able to sense it very clearly. Looking at him, Zhuo Qing gave up on young Master Su. Then, with a bloodthirsty smile, she came in front of him. Looking at the person who made the oath so loyal, Zhuo Qing jokingly said, "Look at how righteous you are. Then, are you also duty-bound and willing to die for me?" "What, you?" The person was shocked. His eyes widened, and his pupils were filled with disbelief. He couldn't believe that Zhuo Qing was still like this when he was already in such a state. What was even more unbelievable was that Zhuo Qing had changed so much. She was clearly a trash who was being tortured to death before, but in the blink of an eye, she had become like this. What made it hard for him to control himself was his body. Except for his head, the rest of his body couldn't move. This was also the reason why he was tortured to death. Die. For you, for your family, for the wrongs that your family has done before, atone for your sins. Without waiting for the person who made the oath to speak, Zhuo Qing waved her hand. A beam of light flashed along the person's neck and disappeared in an instant. PFFF, the next moment, a scarlet color gushed out from the person's neck like a flood. The scene was so eye-catching that it made people's hair stand on end. Hiss, the Oathkeeper's death caused those who were still alive to suck in a breath of cold air. Their faces were pale and filled with fear as they watched their good friend of many years get killed so easily and die in such a tragic manner. Some people's faces turned as white as a sheet of paper the moment they saw this scene. Their legs gave way and they wanted to fall to the ground, but, to everyone's disappointment, their bodies seemed to be fixed in the air. They wanted to squat down, but they couldn't move. Don't be nervous, it will be your turn soon. Take your time and watch your friends, watch the brothers who once joined forces to destroy my Zhou family, be killed one by one. I want you to live in fear, and when you die, you won't be able to reincarnate. At that moment, the crowd didn't know what to say. They wanted to beg for forgiveness, but when they saw how their friends had ended up begging for forgiveness, the words that they wanted to say came to an abrupt stop. Humph. With a cold snort, Zhou Qing walked up to young Master Su. Looking at his missing ears, Zhou Qing's heart was filled with satisfaction. Although he wasn't the real culprit, he was the son and disciple of the instigators. Zhou Qing was going to start his revenge from here. His revenge. He was going to make the clans who had destroyed the Zhou clan regret what they had done. Young Master Su, it's your turn now. His voice was filled with endless hatred and killing intent. Of course, you're not the first, and you won't be the last. The Su clan, the Wu clan, the Lu clan. All of you participated in the destruction of the Zhou family. All of you were groomed for the sake of the lives of the Zhou family's more than 1,000 people. I want them to apologize to the Zhou family. I want them destroyed. I want them to disappear from the God world and the universe. That was exactly what Zhou Qing was thinking at that moment. Not only that, he was going to punish all the vassals of the family who had stood by and watched with folded arms, especially his fiancée's family. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, laughter came from young Master Su's mouth. For some reason, there was bitterness and self-mockery in his laughter. Perhaps he felt that he had been so stupid, or perhaps he felt that he had lost a friend who had once been so sincere. Come on. Give me a quick death. Atone for what I've done. Atone for my betrayal. Atone for my ungratefulness. Come on. Kill me. Kill me, and everything will be over. Come on. Do it. Young Master Su seemed to have gone mad. Everyone present was stunned, and couldn't believe what they were hearing. Heh. Killing you is inevitable. Everything you said is true. As for ending everything, do you really think that's possible? Do you really think your life is enough to make up for the loss of 1,000 lives of the Zhou family? I've let you down. Young Master Su's face was filled with shame. A carefree smile appeared on his pale face. So, kill me, and let me atone for my sins. At this point, Zhou Qing hesitated, and didn't say anything. When he heard young Master Su's words, he suddenly felt a bit of pity for him. Memories that he had thought he had forgotten resurfaced in his mind. The memories were full of the happy days he had with young Master Su. They talked, laughed, and cultivated together. Those were the happiest days of his life. But, sigh. Remember to be a good person in your next life. Don't be like you are now. Become a person you hate and go against your heart. In our next life, let's still be brothers, okay? Whoosh. A flash of light flashed. The moment young Master Su said the word brother, a bloody mark appeared on his heart. Blood gushed out like a fountain. His life force plummeted at a shocking speed. At this moment, young Master Su seemed to have forgotten the pain. He looked at Zhou Qing with a gentle smile and said the words he wanted to say without missing a single word. At this moment, when Zhou Qing heard young Master Su say the word okay, his hand trembled. The weapon fell from his hand and fell to the ground with a crisp sound. Looking at young Master Su, whose eyes gradually closed with a smile on his face, Zhou Qing, who had been silent for a long time, opened his mouth. In our next life, I will still be your brother. And in this life, I won't regret being your brother. Hearing this, everyone present was stunned. They never thought that Zhou Qing would say this. However, it was a pity that young Master Su couldn't hear it. His body slowly stiffened. When the last trace of vitality disappeared, his body finally fell back and lay on the ground, dead. Phew. After doing this, Zhou Qing let out a long breath. Then, the gentleness in his eyes turned cold again. His gaze fell on the other survivors, and a hint of ruthlessness instantly pierced into their hearts. Suddenly, Zhuo Qing's gaze instantly shattered the last line of defense in everyone's hearts. Whoosh, 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 at this moment, Zhuo Qing moved. With a knife in his hand, his figure disappeared in an instant. A figure flashed past. Puff, 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 a series of sounds of flesh breaking were heard. In the next moment, a bloody mark appeared on the necks of the remaining survivors. It was a ghastly sight. It's done. At this moment, an ethereal voice came from afar. But this voice sounded as if it was right next to his ear. Of course, Zhuo Qing knew this voice. He turned around and bowed in the direction of the voice. Yes, young master. This subordinate's matter is done. Well, that's good. Seeing how respectful Zhuo Qing was, Lin Rei naturally felt it. After all, Lin Rei had the best thunder spiritual root. He had to carefully examine the character of the other party. Let's go. Lin Rei was satisfied with Zhuo Qing. He nodded and walked towards the direction of the golden light. His speed wasn't very fast, but it was still a speed of 1,000 meters. After all, he had wasted so much time here. If he didn't hurry up, he was afraid that he would be delayed. As for Linley, he seemed to have forgotten something. Right now, he just stood there, watching as Linley's body flashed and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already 100 meters away. Linley's face was filled with shock. F***ck, how am I supposed to follow him? He muttered in his heart. Although he thought so, the smile on his face didn't change. Although he thought so, in the end, he still had to follow closely. Sigh. With a sigh, Zhuo Qing was full of helplessness. He instantly used his little bit of cultivation. Although he didn't cross 100 meters in one step like Lin Rei, it was still not bad. Although he couldn't completely catch up with Lin Rei, it was already quite difficult to follow Lin Rei. Just like that, a chase scene was played. One was running, and the other was chasing. This scene. TSK, however, as time passed, Lin Rei's speed became faster and faster. At the last step, Zhuo Qing was speechless. He didn't know what to say. At this moment, Zhuo Qing even had the heart to die. However, Lin Rei didn't know about Zhuo Qing's thoughts. At this moment, Lin Rei only had one thought, and that was to quickly reach the location of the golden light. After all, not only was the banished immortal brush there, but more importantly, the method to complete the mission given by the system was there. It didn't matter who it was, as long as they got in the way, the only way was to kill. It didn't matter who they were, even if they were gods. Even if they were gods, he would kill them. Even if they were gods or Buddhas, Lin Rei would kill them without hesitation. After all, this mission concerned his life, and he didn't want to use it as a joke. After all, he only had one life. Even Lin Rei was no exception to the fact that he feared death. At the location of the golden light, a group of old men stood under the golden light. Every one of them looked like they were struggling. Their faces were pale, and they did not understand what was going on. What's going on? Why is this happening? Why is the banished immortal brush fighting back? Why is this happening? No, the banished immortal brush seems to have sensed something. It's like... Impossible, how is this possible? How can the banished immortal brush recognize a master at this time? It's an innate spiritual treasure. Moreover, it has already given birth to its own consciousness. Even if it doesn't recognize a master, it can transform into a human form after cultivating for 1,000 or 10,000 years. Don't talk about it anymore. This isn't the case, that isn't the case. Right now, the main problem is to suppress the banished immortal brush. After all, this has already been decided for the sect recruitment competition. If we change it now, wouldn't we lose a lot of face? That's right. If this happens, that stinking brat Xuanfeng will definitely use this time to laugh at us. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Their expressions were filled with agreement. Then, they nodded at the same time and said, "That's right. Since it's like this, then cultivation. Take out your special skills." With this sentence, everyone's expression became serious and they immediately moved. Everyone explained and brought out their special skills in order to not let Xuanfeng see them as a joke. At this moment, while they were talking, a few figures quickly streaked across the sky and rushed toward the golden light. Their speed was so fast that it stunned everyone. Of course, these people were covered in wounds and bloodstains. They gave people the feeling that they were warriors who had just fought a bloody battle. Soon. This time, I must get a disciple. After all, the banished immortal brush is an innate spiritual treasure that can help me increase my spiritual force. At this moment, the young man who was rushing at the front was also the last person in the group. He held a 3-foot-long cold sword in his hand. He had the aura of a king with a sword in his hand. It was none other than Jianfeng, who had separated from Lin Rei and was trying to rope in Lin Rei. Along the way, Jianfeng had met many seniors who blocked his path. If it wasn't for his spiritual force, sword technique and comprehension of the sword Dao, he was afraid that. Looking at the golden light in front of him, Jianfeng couldn't help but reveal a happy and proud expression. After all, he was the first person, the strongest existence among the newcomers. However, because he was excited, he didn't care about the others. Who would have thought that when Jianfeng was about to open his mouth and laugh, a black figure would flash past him and rush toward the golden light? Who? At this moment, seeing the black figure flash past him, Jianfeng immediately recovered from his arrogance. He shouted angrily and raised his hand. The 3-foot-long cold sword instantly rushed toward the back of the figure in front of him. Huh? Sword chi? At this moment, the young man in front of Jianfeng, who was currently in the first place, suddenly stopped. He felt the powerful sword chi rushing toward him from behind and a smile appeared on his face. "You want to compete with my sword chi? You're asking for a rebuff." At this moment, the young man was none other than Jianfeng. If Jianfeng saw the young man's face at this moment, he would immediately recognize him. Wasn't that Lin Rei who had frightened him before? At this moment, Lin Rei didn't look back. Feeling the shocking sword chi behind him, he smiled. Then, his sword fingers instantly drew a faint light that rushed out and collided with the shocking sword chi. Bang! There was a loud sound that seemed to penetrate the world. Is that all you've got? You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.